Good afternoon, footy fans, and welcome to East Fremantle Oval for the traditional Foundation Day Derby between South and East. Into the East Fremantle change rooms a short time ago, John O'Sullivan warming up. A lot of tension down there today. This is a very important match for both sides, and I'm sure they're going to give their all in this derby here this afternoon. The East Fremantle rooms, and a lot of activity down there, as it was with the South Fremantle rooms, with Mascos, Turner, Ditchburn, Grant, and of course Craig Edwards will play a very important part of this game today, as will Willie Rioli, and a lot of pressure will certainly go on Craig Edwards in this match today. South Fremantle ruckman. He'll be pitted up against Lance Durack in what should be one of the clashes of the day. Brian Cousins and Ken Casellas are with me in commentary. Wally Foreman not here today, not feeling too well after the 6WF breakfast this morning, and Wally having an afternoon off. A big crowd here at East Fremantle Oval. What would you estimate the crowd, Ken?
Well, Trevor, it's filling up by the moment that the East Fremantle players come onto the field, and I'd say there'd have to be 12,000 people here.
East Fremantle just coming out. South Fremantle have been out for some time, and the umpires for the match are Grant Vernon and Trevor Garrett. There's the South Fremantle side, and still a lot of people on the ground here, and restricting the players from even warming up. The Sharkettes are also performing and entertaining this crowd, a big crowd here at East Fremantle Oval today. The weather is overcast in Perth. The report from the Weather Bureau is that we won't get any rain. That's pretty good news, but there's rain on the way, and it should reach the metropolitan area by this evening and hopefully extend inland a little later on, maybe tonight and into tomorrow. The breeze is a 5 to 10 knot breeze. It's flowing from the north to the right-hand side of your screen, or the southern end of the ground. You can see the sky is fairly overcast, but the report from the Bureau is that we won't get too much rain here today. A lot of activity out in the centre, and set for what should be a great match. Let's look at the league ladder and look at the importance of these two games today, of this game today, because South Fremantle, if they win this match, of course, will move to a clear second position, and East Fremantle, if they win the game, move one game clear of West Perth and consolidate their place in the four. So a very important derby, this one. In the first derby of the season at Fremantle Oval, well, South Fremantle were too good for East Fremantle, and it ran out clear winners. The East Fremantle side today is unchanged from the one that was named in the press this morning, and possibly coming off the interchange, David Rowe and McLean. And David Rowe, I believe, Ken Casellas, a very promising player.
Yes, I like the look of him. He stands just over 6 foot tall, Trevor. I've seen him play at centre-half forward in the reserves. I've seen him play on a wing. I've seen him play on a half-forward flank. He's a very versatile player, and the type of player that's about to make a mark in league ranks because of his versatility.
Ken, a lot of talent in this side too, in the East Fremantle side. Bradley Rowe, you can see there, no relation to David Rowe. Number 16 is Bradley. He could have a very big match today. But a lot of talent in the reserve side. They won 21-9 to 11-11 over South Fremantle. But obviously East Fremantle just not putting it together on the field every week.
No, there's a great deal of experience in the East Fremantle ranks, but they've had their problems this year, and Graham Melrose has had his worries with inconsistent play, and they've got a very big test this afternoon. East Fremantle have a very big incentive, because not only will they consolidate fourth place if they win today, but they'll move well into contention for finishing in the second semi-final. And East Fremantle also were very unhappy with the first derby. They believed that they were virtually robbed because there were a couple of very, very vital umpiring decisions late in the game, a couple of 50 metres, which resulted in goals for South Fremantle late in the game at Fremantle Oval in the first round, and saw South Fremantle move away and win by a couple of goals.
Let's have a look at the South Fremantle side. Brian Cousins, you might like to comment here. And changes from what I could pick up, Brian, around the rooms, with McDonald to full forward, Dean Wilson to centre half back, and Grant to full back. Important moves that'll be made possibly by Stan Magro before the start of this match.
Yes, Trevor, obviously a very, very important game, and it's tremendous to see the public of WA the way they've responded. In regard to those changes, Trevor, I did see South Fremantle play a few weeks ago, and Stephen Grant, who has been full forward at South Fremantle for most of his career, impressed me greatly when he played at full back, and he maybe join the list of quite a few players that have played as a full forward, and when they've gone into defence have become great players, but he certainly impressed me there. I think the South Fremantle half forward line today, with the two very, very speedy players in Peter Matera and Richard Geary flanking Dean Nolder at centre half forward, are going to play a very big part in South Fremantle today. But then when you contrast that with the half forward line of East Fremantle, you've got Brian Peake, Clinton Browning and Neil Lester-Smith. So both sides have got very, very strong half forward lines that are filled with goal kickers.
But Brian, a lot more pace in the South Fremantle half forwards than the East Fremantle half forwards.
Yes, I would agree with that. So it's going to be a battle, I suppose, the half forward lines between pace and experience, although when you look at the East Fremantle half back line, Edgar, that plays on the half-back flank, is extremely quick, and I imagine he would be given the job of picking up Peter Matera. And John Deracourt, a very uncompromising traditional half-back flanker.
Pretty slow, but Brian.
Pretty slow, but when he's there, they'll know he's there.
I thought perhaps East Fremantle might even move Peter Quill from a wing. He's probably their quickest player. Move him and down to a half-back flank and give him the task of watching. There's Stan Magro as the derby is about to get underway. I thought Peter Quill might be moved on to the dangerous Peter Matera.
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see who they do line up on Matera. Matera would be, along with Bradley Rowe and Ben Allen, the form player of the WAFL competition. Ken, I'd one player today, I think, who could emerge by the end of the season as one of the best players in WA. He was a few years ago prior to a very serious knee injury, and that's Brad Tunbridge. I've seen him play a couple of games this year when he's played mainly at full forward. I'll be very surprised if they don't move him out and give him a bit more work to do today.
Yes, and if East Fremantle use both their ruckman, Durack and Tunbridge, it's certainly going to place an enormous amount of pressure on Craig Edwards, who is South Fremantle's only major knock ruckman.
Yes, well, Tunbridge on the screen now, he's 6'5", a beautifully built young fellow, and he had the entire year off last year after following a knee reconstruction. But he'll cause a lot of problems at full forward, and then I'll be very surprised if they don't use him on the ball as the game goes on.
Looks as though Nalder and Turner coming off for South Fremantle on the interchange. And for East Fremantle, Neil Lester-Smith to start on the interchange bench. A couple of surprising moves there, Brian.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised with Neil Lester-Smith. He's the sort of player that can pick up a couple of goals. Walking off to the bench now, Neil Lester-Smith, I'm sure would have loved to have started in this game, but he's the sort of player that can pick up a couple of early goals.
The breeze coming from the north, only 5 to 10 knots. It's fluctuating. There's not a great deal of it at the moment, favouring the right-hand side of your screen. The golf course end of the East Fremantle Oval, but I don't think it'll play too much part in this match. It's umpire Trevor Garrett who'll get the game underway. Should be a great derby. It's Durack, opposed by Edwards. What a great clash that is going to be. That's brilliantly read by Willie Rioli. He kicks to half forward, the ball bouncing free. Up goes Cliff Collard, knocks into the path of Paul Wilson. Chance for South Fremantle. And what's he done with it? He's put it through. A goal in the first 15 seconds of the match for the Bulldogs, and a great start, Brian Cousins.
Yes, well, you can't get a much better start than that. Willie Rioli out of the centre, bounce down. A tremendous bit of play by Cliff Collard on the half-forward flank when he had three East Fremantle players coming at him. Dean Wilson running down the middle of the ground. A great knock-on and a goal. A great team goal and a great way to start the game.
Paul Wilson, mate. Number 24,
Paul Wilson.
So one goal to South. Let's try that again, says Trevor Garrett. It was all too quick. Durack wins the tap. Edgar Sockers at the half forward for East Fremantle. Met by Browning, who paddled it for Durack, who got a tackle and it's been paid. Little tap in the back too from Dean Wilson. Long-haired Lance. Drop punts of beauty to full forward. Pack of players in the air. Grant was in front. Starting off at full back. Mascot's working hard. Paddled out for Morris Rioli. Brilliant hand pass to Worsfold. South out of trouble. The boot going up towards the wing. O'Sullivan at the back. Good mark. Over the top of Paul Wilson. He kicks to the attacking side of the square. Peak from the back. Carries those players. Lawrence suffers it on. Into the forward pocket for East Fremantle. Out comes Browning leading Wilson. Couldn't control the football. Close to the boundary. And Gibb playing for touch has knocked it out of bounds. ABC Radio covering this game today too. Ryder over the top of Edwards was a good knock, but it lands with Mascos. He goes across the half-back line. Well placed is Worsfold. Knocked away by Foreman into the path of Edgar. Outside he's got a runner in Quill. Quill goes into the pocket looking for Bradley Rowe. With him, Willie Rioli, two very talented players. Quickly done, Bradley Rowe, but the shot's offline.
Yes, the pace there.
Yes, it'd be the match race of the century if they happen to get out on their own during the course of the game. And Ken, I notice you're correct with your prediction that Peter Quill has lined up on Peter Matera.
Not just a pretty face, is he, Ken Casellas? Grant puts the ball back into play. That's a prodigious kick. Browning's underneath it and takes the mark. Off he goes because Worsfold lost his footing. He kicks into the pocket for Pete. The Bombers taken the mark 25 metres out. A very acute angle in the right full forward pocket. Can he kick that from there, Brian?
Well, he would have had more shots, I imagine, from in this ground than probably any other player out there. So I'd say he's a chance to kick it, Pete. He's always been a big game player.
Banana kicks on its way. Missed. But East Fremantle move along to two behinds. South Fremantle one straight goal, and we've been playing 3.5 minutes. Seems to rise to the occasion, doesn't he, Brian Peck, in this type of game?
I'd say over his career he's been probably as good a big game player as WA has ever produced.
So Grant puts it back into play. The target is Edwards, but Browning is strong in the air in this early part of the match. The ball was meant for his opposite number 10, Craig Edwards. So Browning kicks to full forward. Tunbridge sandwiched between players. Fimino at the front, charging through Durack. And the ball to be bounced about 25 metres out from the Sharks' goal. A good lively start to the match.
Yes, it's been a great start to the game.
This is umpire Vernon bouncing down. Favours Foreman, who knocks it into the path of Gibb. Back to Foreman. Lands with Worsfold. He's got plenty of time, but the kick's not a good one. Intercepted by Ryder. Ryder's 40 metres out. The snap at goal is true. The quick reply coming from East Fremantle. They're 1-2, South are 1 goal, and we've been playing 5 minutes.
Here's a good start for Revis Ryder to kick this goal of a very poor kick coming out of defence by the South Fremantle player. But despite the fact that he had, I think it was Willie Rioli coming across him, he had a good steady look at the goals and a good kick and a good goal to start.
And a bad mistake from John Worsfold there.
Peter Worsfold.
Yes. Probably evident of the pressure that is always in these games, and particularly in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
The battle resumes. This time it's Edwards. Brilliant palm to Morris Rioli. Wobbly punt going up to full forward. Ellis coming out. Couldn't take the mark. Filled through. Went without it, but paddles it out wide. But Matera held. Obvious free kick, but play on the advantage. Well played for Geary. And he steers it through. The 2 goals for South Fremantle have been both within 15 seconds of a centre bounce.
Yes, Trevor, it was interesting at the start of the game when we were commenting about the pace in the South Fremantle forward line, and we look now at the tackle by Craig McLean, I think playing his first game for the year for East Fremantle, getting the ball, as I said, when he tackled the ball spilled free from Matera, the umpire played the advantage rule and Richard Geary steered it through. But there's certainly an enormous amount of pace in that South Fremantle forward line.
Paul Wilson has a drink. Overcast conditions. Hopefully the rain will stay away. There's Craig Edwards. The bounce favours Edwards. Durack is from behind. Wins the tap. Christie boots it out of the middle. Towards full forward. Cole at the back. With him is Gibb. Wilson lending support. Gibb gets a high tackle from Browning. The free kick has been paid. It's in the left full back pocket for the Bulldogs. Neat pass, missed by Collard. It was Brad Collard, kicked upfield by Lawrence, but wide of the target. And out of bounds on the full, the free kick to be taken. There's Neil Lester-Smith on the interchange. That's back to the wing. Wilson, but on the back, a good mark to O'Sullivan. He's had the better of the marking duel so far with Paul Wilson. Although Wilson kicked the first goal of the match. It's a good kick, meant for Browning. Up he goes. How many marks so far, Ken?
He's not paid.
Paid the free kick for a push.
Yes, when the ball was more than 5 metres away.
So Dean Wilson kicks it back to the middle of the ground. O'Sullivan from the back. Play on the call. Could have been paid. Trevor Garrett coming in to bounce it down. O'Sullivan got a whack in the head. He's getting up gingerly from that. What were your thoughts, Brian?
Yes, it just drifted over the back, but it wasn't a mark, and the umpires have got to make sure the players earn them, I think.
Deracourt pulls it around the corner, but only as far as Ditchburn, stolen by Ryder. In goes Rioli. Pushed in the back was Lawrence, but play on. Durack shovels it out. Now a chance for Cooper. Inboard to Edgar. Centre half forward, 50 metres out. The drop punt's on its way. It's a beauty. And well shepherded in the square by Tunbridge. The advantage of the bulk and the strength of Tunbridge in the square there. And the goal registered for Eric Cooper.
Yes, a great goal in...
Edgar, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Trevor, I thought it was Edgar kicking the goal. But the strength of Tunbridge in the goal square was evident there as the ball was shepherded through. But with East Fremantle, with Browning playing very strongly so far at centre half forward, and Tunbridge has been in every contest when the ball's come down. And I noticed that Tunbridge has now gone into the ruck, so he's going to spend a lot more time on the ball today.
That score wasn't correct. It's 2-2 East Fremantle, 2 straight goals for South. Ryder, been prominent, dragged down by Collard, and was holding the ball. The defensive side of the square. Collard kicks to centre half forward. Rioli up from the back. No mark taken. Deracourt. Back he comes, John Deracourt. Tackled hard by Collard. The scramble of play there. Shoveled out by Cooper. Back to the middle of the ground. Brad Collard. Only as far though as Thorne, who goes to full forward. Durack. Yes, he's doubled the mark. Kick coming from Harry Thorne, a player I don't know a lot about. You, Ken? But yes. Durack's got the mark.
Played well in a back pocket for East Fremantle reserves throughout last season. He played one league game, which was a derby early last season.
So this is Durack now, who'll shoot from 25 metres, 45-degree angle, and he's kicked the goal. So there's some sharpshooters at East Fremantle Oval today. East Fremantle 3-2. There's a player coming off. Gibb is hurt.
Yes, I think...
Turner's about to come on. Brian Cousins.
Yes, once again the strength of Durack and the East Fremantle players, the forward line, is very, very telling at this stage. But it looks like Doug Gibb has either dislocated a wrist or a finger and is in a bit of pain as he comes across the boundary line.
And East Fremantle in a bit of trouble too, Trevor, with the marking skill. I mean, South are in trouble with East Fremantle's marking skill.
3-2-20 plays 2 straight goals in favour of East Fremantle. Hard work being done in the centre. The ball being held to him, that was Cole, and the bounce down again from umpire Vernon. Give off and Turner on. Edwards wins the tap, knocked on by Edgar, but a free kick has been seen, and Craig Edwards will take it from the middle of the ground. Big responsibility on his shoulders today. That's a good kick to full forward, but O'Sullivan up. Ball stolen away. Into the forward line it goes. It's Geary and McLean. McLean content to run it through from behind. Dane Ellis, who we featured on Football Sunday yesterday, now Meet the Eagles segment. Kicks towards the members' wing. O'Sullivan knocked away by Matera. McLean and Mascos. Good use of the body by McLean on Mascos. And the ball will be thrown in 55 metres around from the Bulldogs' goal in front of the East Fremantle members. Tunbridge, beautiful palm to Edgar, sends him away. He kicks to the middle of the ground, bounces in front of Browning. Wilson, over there is Ditchburn. Rioli, held but not in possession, Morris Rioli.
6 free kicks to South Fremantle.
Could be 50 metres too coming up here. Browning's gone in over the top of Rioli, and Vernon's penalised him 50 metres.
Yes, I think it's probably the right decision by the umpire to set his standards very early in the game.
Dean Wilson said to Clint Browning, I didn't like the way you treated my little mate. Morris Rioli could kick this easily, shooting from 45 metres. The left foot drop punt is a very good kick from the veteran. What a great start to this derby. 3-2 plays 3-1, a point the difference in favour of the Sharks.
Yes, it's a tremendous start to the game, Trevor. I'm sure the crowd have come along today expecting this derby to be in the tradition of the ones that have been on the Foundation Day holiday in the past. Morris Rioli being relatively quiet so far in the game, but you see they're getting the treatment from Clinton Browning, and he made no mistake, made sure that Browning paid duly for his misdemeanour.
And I'm sure the runner would have a word to say to Clint Browning. Browning and Wilson are niggling each other, centre half back and centre half forward. That bounce favours Tunbridge. He knocks it to the side of the pack for Christie. Oh, beautifully through the congestion. On to Browning, who got away from Wilson. There's a 55-metre kick towards Durack in the pocket. Well, though, down there by Grant. Overruns it now. Allows Solon in. He goes looking for Worsfold, but the boundary beats them all. It'll be thrown in about 5 metres the side of the behind post in the left full forward pocket. Durack from behind Edwards. Edwards brings it to the front to Fimino, who feeds Rioli, sends him away. He's veering out towards the boundary, then pulls the ball back. That wasn't good play. Cooper, nice pick up, forced a hand pass, but tackled by Turner. Now Matera's got it, and it goes to Turner. Turner's kick towards the right centre wing, bounces between players. Nicely read though by Craig McLean. He's got plenty of pace, as you saw. He goes to centre half forward. Browning's in front. Edwards brings it to the ground. Chance for Lawrence. He's confronted by Brad Collard. Cooper's in there, so is Cliff Collard. On for brother Brad, over to Edwards. Willie Rioli, South out of trouble. The kick to centre half forward by Willie Rioli, coming to meet it was McDonald, couldn't take the mark. Bill on the ground. And over the top of him is Geary, number 8 for South. Morris Rioli, 6. The bounce almost at centre half forward. Geary got a high tackle. Quill, Rioli, shoveled out by Morris Rioli. Turner on to Matera. There's the kick, a spiral torpedo to the goal square. It bounces nicely for O'Sullivan, who knocks for touch. And that'll be thrown in the left full forward pocket for South Fremantle.
Enormous amount of pressure early in the game, Trevor.
Great game of footy. Follows on from yesterday's game at Subiaco Oval. That boundary throw in straight to McDonald, who kicks a goal, and he's put it through. The boundary throw-in seemed to fall short, and McDonald took advantage of that, and he brings up South's 4th goal.
Yes, great play by John McDonald, taking advantage of the situation. And a great snap under pressure.
25 plays 25 points in favour of South. In one of the best openings, Ken, we've seen this season.
Tremendous, and it promises to be a great game here this afternoon, and the crowd, Trevor, has built up to 15,000 people.
Brian Cook licks his lips as Grant Vernon bounces down. Tunbridge, beautiful palm to Bradley Road, not sighted yet. He's going to be sighted now. He runs almost to centre half forward. The kick clears Lawrence. Peak socketed only as far as Turner. With him is Foreman. The young and the old here. Foreman runs into Turner, pushes him out of the way. That's a good decision. I don't play it the other way to Foreman.
Yes, I agree with that. Turner took hold of Foreman when Foreman wasn't in possession.
Okay, Foreman kicks towards full forward. Ditchburn knocked away by Durack into the path of Christie. He's run down from behind. Good play by Cliff Collard. Now Matera. Ryder missed it. Ditchburn didn't. South get out of trouble again. Gee, they're strong in defence today, South. They're fired up, but so are East Fremantle. Brad Collard hand passes it on to Paul Wilson. That's nicely intercepted by Quill. He goes to the ground. Play on the call. Rioli on to Brad Collard. He kicks the full forward, and the mark has been taken by South Fremantle. McDonald kicked the previous goal. He'll shoot from 45, but he chips into the pocket. Mascos. Who's checking from East Fremantle there, Brian?
Yes, certainly was. It's the running of the South Fremantle players running forward with Mascos running down the ground. It's just going to be an area that South Fremantle, as I said earlier at the start of the game, they've got more runners, I think, in their forward line.
Chance for Mascos to increase the lead. He's done that now. They lead by 11 points South as Lawrence comes off the ground for East Fremantle and Neil Lester Smith comes on, but there's the goal scorer, Arthur Mascos.
Yes, John Lawrence coming off, has been involved in a couple of passages of play, but John only a young player. I think he's only 17 and son of former Perth player Ray Lawrence. And a player with a lot of skill. But it'll be interesting to see now Neil Lester Smith, a very experienced player, coming onto the half-forward play.
Ken, who've been the leading kick getters for this part of the match?
Well, Willie Rioli, the little South Rovers, had 4. Browning at centre half forward for East Fremantle's had 3. McDonald, who's kicked South's 4th goal, he's had 2 kicks. And Brad Collard's had 2, and Morris Rioli's had 2.
Edwards won the tap, but only as far as Edgar. Edgar kicks the ball forward. Durack in front, brings it to the ground. Worsfold, Smith muffed it. Now he's tackled by Cole. Ball spills free. In goes Grant, and he looks for the boundary and finds it about 30 metres out from the Sharks' goal.
Another busy player is Edgar, the man who drove that ball down there. He's had 4 kicks, and surprisingly, he's playing on a half-forward flank away from his normal position on a half-back flank.
Kicks have been telling, Ken.
They have indeed.
Durack uses the body on Edwards, gives away the free kick. 2 men of great strength, Edwards and Durack. That's a neat pass too that finds Derek Collard. Hand pass to brother Brad. He's confronted by Cooper, but he gets it away to Matera. He gets around Lester Smith. Plenty of agility there. Kicks to half forward. O'Sullivan paid the mark. The true centre half back position, maybe a little forward of that. He kicks to centre half forward. Interference has been seen. Shepherding by Dean Wilson, and Clint Browning's got the free kick. Umpiring's been good to this stage. Haven't missed too much. Edgar, he's proving a lively customer across the half-forward line.
And he's given Fimino leading on merry dance.
The attacking side of the square, he kicks to full forward. Peak! Almost a spectacular mark. It's fed out by Grant to Solon, and Solon clears it out of the danger zone. Cooper up in front, knocked away though by Matera. That's another boundary throw in, 55 metres around from the Sharks' goal on the members' side of the ground. That was almost a specky from the bomber.
He certainly got up very high, Trevor.
Durack, but from the side foreman, hits it straight to Fimino, who gives it to Cliff Collard. He pulls it around the corner. It's bouncing towards the half-back line. Edgar the first to arrive, but can't keep it in play. Must have got a foot to that. Greg Turner's got the free kick for South. He kicks the right centre wing. O'Sullivan in front. Couldn't take the mark. He's got the free kick. What are his stats now, Ken? John O'Sullivan?
John O'Sullivan, he's taken 3 marks already. 3 marks, and this is his 4th kick.
The centre half forward. Out comes the bomber. He's at the back. Couldn't take the mark. Edwards gets the crumbs. He feeds Geary. He screws the ball to centre half forward. Wilson, destroyed by O'Sullivan. Derek Collard fumbled. The crumbs come to Morris Rioli. This is Cliff Collard, right centre wing. Bullet-like pass. Matera dropped what he should have taken. Good shepherding by Turner, but Edgar's got pace. He cut in front of them there. That was a brilliant piece of play by Stephen Edgar. He kicks to half forward. Lester Smith up, and he's got the mark, and it's been paid. On he goes to Christie, close to the boundary. George Christie in the left full forward pocket. On to Bradley Rowe. He heard the call, and Rowe makes no mistake. Brilliant football, East Fremantle. Bradley Rowe receiving the hand pass from George Christie and putting it through for the Sharks' 4th. It's 1 point the difference. No, it's not. Yes, it is. 1 point the difference in favour of East Fremantle.
Yeah, very quick transference of play, but it was very interesting that started out of defence. Went before it came to Neil Lester Smith from Edgar and O'Sullivan, who have probably been close to East Fremantle's 2 best players.
Right, 31 plays 26. I made a mistake there in calling that. There's the action, Brian.
Yes, with quite a difficult shot there for Bradley Rowe, but a great goal on the run.
South 5-1. East Fremantle 4-2. Pitchburn.
Bradley Rowe starting to come into the game now.
From half back, he kicks up towards the wing position. Derek caught up. He's been paid the mark. He's at right centre wing, just backward of that position for East Fremantle. Looking for runners through the middle. With none there. He kicks to half forward. The target is Browning. Pitchburn interfered with him. No free kick. Browning's got it now. He goes inboard and right across the ground for Stephen Edgar again. He's everywhere. There's the little chip pass, but it's not a good one. Ill-directed. Allows Fimino in. Fimino with the ball. He goes across the ground. Wasn't a good kick either. Browning the first to arrive out in front of Wilson. He pulls it back though for Lester Smith. No mark. Bradley Rowe, danger man. Inside 25. He's forced the hand pass. Grant's got it now, and South out of trouble again. As the kick, no, he's not. That kick was ill-directed. It's out of bounds on the full. Under pressure then. He's made the mistake.
And Browning's going to have his 7th kick in the opening 21 minutes of play.
Clint Browning, too far out to score. Torpedo punt just outside the square. Tunbridge up. No mark taken. Fimino at the back. At ground level, Turner spins out of trouble. He was tackled by Tunbridge. In goes Worsfold. Picked up now by Cole. Smothered by Fimino. runs onto the football, then he feeds Derek Collard. South run the ball out of defence. The kick up towards half-back. Wilson up, no mark taken. Matera in. Out wide, the loose hand pass. South making mistakes there under pressure.
Yes, they are making a few mistakes under pressure, Trevor, but in light of the high standard of the game and the pressure both teams are putting on, I think it's only to be expected.
From the back, Foreman. Tunbridge. Nice somersault. Edgar off the ground. Bradley Rowe. In front of Worsfold. He's 50 metres out. Can't underestimate this little rover. He could go very close from here, although he's kicking into a slight breeze. There's the drop punt. It's on its way. It's straight as a die, but it won't reach. Up they go. And the ball touched and through for a behind. East Fremantle moved to 4-3. That's 27. They trail South 5-1, 31.
And Brad Rose had 5 kicks, and he's certainly playing a part in the game now.
Grant favours the outer side. Willie Rioli's broken clear. He marks in front of Remus Ryder. Off he goes. Gets around Ryder. Has a bounce to steady. Drives around the outer side of the ground. There's a wrestle going on here between Deary and Deracourt. The free kick has been picked out to be taken by John Deracourt for a push. So Deracourt goes to half forward. Lester Smith couldn't control it. Close to the boundary. It's kept in play. First to arrive is Brad Collard. He soccers upfield. And it's out of bounds now at left centre wing.
I think a free kick to Brad Collard, Trevor, for
behind
a
the play.
Yes.
Brad Collard to half forward. From the back, McDonald high. Play on the call. O'Sullivan gives it to Edgar. Back to O'Sullivan. Danger. Into trouble. And pass intercepted by McDonald. But he is pulled off. Still he goes, McDonald, to an open goal square. And he's missed to the left-hand side.
Yes, he had the free kick, Trevor, and he elected to continue on. But he was probably in the momentum and he thought he'd kick the goal. But good play by John McDonald. He's been quite lively down there at full forward.
5 points the difference in favour of South Fremantle. Ball put back into play. Finds Shane Ellis. Goes around the outer side. This is Thorne. Time for a bounce and then goes towards the wing. Lester Smith this time. He cuts inboard. Sharks are building something up here. The kick smothered by Willie Rioli. Ryder sockers it to half forward. Socket on again to Browning. Back to Cole. The full forward and Peake out in front of Solon. Two veterans of the game. The strong mark to Bomber Peake on that occasion. 30 metres out directly in front.
A tremendous mark by Brian Peake. Great pair of hands, Brian Peake. When he gets both hands on, he very rarely drops them.
Let's see what he can do from there. It's away to the right-hand side. He's missed the target. One behind only. East Fremantle had their kicking boots on early. They now go to 4-4, 28. Fighting South 5-2, 32. Margin back to 4 points. And we've been playing 25 minutes in this first quarter. Grant puts the ball back into play. Edwards and Durack, and Edwards from behind. Quill. Foreman. And a nest of South Fremantle players. Only as far as Mascos. Rioli. Fimino in trouble. Stolen by Cole. Kicks the full forward. Off the legs of Worsfold. Rowe is there for East Fremantle. Picked up by Christie. Lester Smith has chipped a goal. Well read by Tunbridge. He could have marked that. He let it go. And a goal has come up. Good piece of intelligent football by Brad Tunbridge.
Yes, to let the ball go through. Great persistence by Bradley Rowe, Neil Lester Smith. As we see Rowe here persisting in. The ball scooped out by George Christie onto...
Christie's will kick the goal. Yeah, we'll just have a look at that again in a moment.
Good goal by Lester Smith. The hand pass coming from George Christie.
Lester Smith, was it? Thanks, Ken. Play goes on in the middle of the ground. Matera. Christie. Well tackled by Peter Matera. Still they scramble back in the middle of the ground. Now umpire Trevor Garrett to bounce it down.
As Craig Edwards, under pressure, kicks south forward again.
This ball bouncing to the 50-metre line. Cliff Collard was underneath it. Paddled away by McDonald. Back to Cliff Collard, who got high tackle. East Fremantle supporters don't like it, but it was there. You can see that. A very high tackle.
Just out of his range, I'd suggest, Trevor. Brian, do you think he can make it from 40?
No, I agree with you. He's slightly outside.
Yes, he's pulled it on the goal line and forced through. The goal scorers for South at the moment: Mascos, Rioli, that's Morris, Geary, Wilson and McDonald, and for East Fremantle, Edgar, Rowe, Lester Smith, Durack and Ryder. This is Thorne in defence for East Fremantle. On to Ryder. He kicks it straight up in the air. Wouldn't like to be camped underneath this. Two South Fremantle players were, in Rioli and Geary. Morris Rioli's in there working hard. Shoveled out to Derek Court, who boots the Sharks forward. Wilson, good strong mark in front of Browning this time. He's had a bath in the first quarter. On he goes to Fimino. Fimino kicks it out wide. Derek Collard missed it. Thorne paddles it on for Cooper. Good use of the body. Socket forward by South. Ellis in front of McDonald. Paul Wilson. Christie. Sharks are out of trouble. Christie runs it out of defence. Kicks to half forward. Fimino, though, in front. Taking the mark opposed to Browning. Almost in the middle of the ground.
South appear to have made the change. They've moved Fimino off the dangerous Edgar, and Mascos is now guarding Edgar.
That's a good kick from Fimino to half forward. Derek Court at the back. No mark taken. Through the traffic was Quill. Kicks back towards the wing. Edgar. Almost a fingertip mark. With him is Mascos. Now McLean. It goes Mascos. The hand pass only as far as Quill. Quill's kick to Rioli. He couldn't pick it up on the half volley. He was pushed in the back. No doubt about that. He'll take the kick from right centre wing.
He started the game in brilliant fashion. Willie Rioli died out a bit, but he's probably going to finish with a flourish as well.
He must kick over the mark, he says.
Rioli, the half forward. Up they go. O'Sullivan might have been injured in that exchange. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Turner's down on top of that. O'Sullivan landed awkwardly. Number 11 for South. He's limping away. Yeah, body blow for the Sharks. Oh, good use of the body by Tunbridge. Foreman pushed out of the contest. Cole forced the hand pass. Matera tackled by Quill. Out wide Geary. Runs to 50 metres. He can kick the football, but it's across the face. Ellis is there. And it's bounced through for a behind. South draw level. 5-4 apiece. 30 minutes played. O'Sullivan's still feeding that, Brian.
Yes, he is limping. Actually, when Geary had the ball, he had the opportunity of passing it onto O'Sullivan's man, but he elected to go for the long shot.
This is McLean in the back pocket. Collard over the mark. McLean to half back on the member's side. O'Sullivan sets. Knocked away by Edwards. Willie Rioli roving brilliantly. Gives it away to Paul Wilson. A short pass to Morris Rioli, and he steadies things down. 35 metres out, directly in front. Distance won't be a problem. Maybe 40 metres.
Well, Morris's first goal he got from a free was almost right on 50 metres. This is shorter.
Watch the champion. It's a good-looking kick. He doesn't miss those. Money for jam, says Morris. So the Bulldogs are a goal in front. They must be very close to quarter time. There's Monkey Brennan. A bit tired after yesterday.
Played on a fair play yesterday too. The big Hawthorn full forward, Jason Dunstall.
Now, I thought he worked very hard. Dunstall, obviously, with kicking 7 goals, was a great performance, but I thought Brennan completed it extremely well all day.
Got a bit of a sore neck watching the ball go over his head. 1 goal the difference. What a great game. Long quarter. They've been playing 32 minutes. Where's Wally? Up goes Edwards. Knocked on by Cooper. Tunbridge. Matera. Rioli through the traffic, and there's quarter time. So at quarter time in the Derby, you couldn't wish to see a better quarter of football. South 6-4-40, Stan Magro would be pleased. East Fremantle 5-4-34. That's the fastest stands move for a while. The goal scorers for South Fremantle, two to Rioli, and the singles to Mascos, Geary, Paul Wilson and John McDonald. And for East Fremantle, Rioli with a battle scar there. Singles to Edgar, Bradley Rowe, Lester Smith, Durack and Ryder. Ken Casillas, who've been the leading possession getters to quarter time.
Thanks, Trevor. I didn't like the look of that blood coming from the left eyebrow of Morris Rioli's. And Morris himself has played well in the centre for South with 1 mark, 4 kicks, including 2 goals and 3 effective hand passes, so 7 disposals to number 6 for South Fremantle, the champion Morris Rioli. Of the other South players, Brad Collard and his wing has had 3 kicks and 3 hand passes. Craig Edwards has had 3 kicks and 3 effective hand passes. Cliff Collard's picked up 3 kicks. Geary's had 3 kicks. Willie Rioli, 6 kicks and 1 hand pass. McDonald, he had 3 kicks in attack. And Brian, he's just been moved back onto a half-back flank McDonald to play on Edgar. Mascos was given the task for a few moments after Edgar had absolutely thrashed his first opponent, Ned Fimino. Fimino's had 3 kicks, Gibbs had 2 in a back pocket, and Mascos and Paul Wilson have each had 2. For East Fremantle, leading kick getters here, we have a look at Bradley Rowe, the rover, 5 kicks. His co-rover Dean Coles had 2, one of which was a smothered kick. Browning at centre half forward, a dominant player with 2 marks, 7 kicks in the first quarter. Rod Lester Smith, 2 marks and 3 kicks. He's been dangerous since coming onto the field. John O'Sullivan at centre half back, 3 marks and 4 kicks. Thorne has had 3 kicks from a back pocket. Deracourt 4 and a half back flank. And Stephen Edgar, the dashing blonde half-forward flanker, not that little fellow, but the other East Fremantle man in the blue and white, is Stephen Edgar, 2 marks and 8 kicks, and he's been a live wire in the first quarter.
Right, thanks Ken. 6-4 to 5-4 in favour of South Fremantle. Brian Cousins, who've been your best players to quarter time?
Well, first of all, looking at South Fremantle, I suppose the 2 Riolis have been the 2 most effective players. Willie Rioli started the game in the first 10 minutes very, very well, had a quieter session, and then finished the game in the last 5 or 10 minutes by coming back in, and I think was one of the players responsible for getting the ball to Morris, who kicked when he kicked his second goal. As Ken mentioned, Morris Rioli has played very well in the centre, and his competitiveness, not so much even when he's got the ball, but when there's a spill and the ball hits the ground, Morris Rioli at least gets in there and makes sure that the opposition don't get it away. Peter Matera has run through on a few occasions and started to use his explosive pace that he's got, and Craig Edwards has worked very hard in the ruck. For East Fremantle, I thought obviously Clinton Browning at centre half forward has created a lot of problems for South Fremantle. They've had quite a few difficulties across their half back line, as Ken mentioned, with Stephen Edgar doing extremely well there. They've now moved John McDonald back, and I think Edgar is also creating a few other problems. The fact that he has the odd run on the ball, he's changing with George Christie as a ruck rover. John O'Sullivan, I think, has been outstanding at centre half back and has rebounded the ball, taken some tremendous marks and springboarded the ball back into attack. Bradley Rowe, after a very quiet start, came into the game in the last half of the quarter, kicked 1 great goal on the run, and is going to be a very, very strong player, I'd suggest, as the game wears on.
As comments from Brian Cousins, who's in the shoes of Keith Slater. Keith away for some weeks over in Europe and then on to England for the test matches, and of course starting next Thursday night on ABC Radio. And really looking forward to that, Ken.
Yes, and we're all going to have bleary eyes in the mornings for the next few months, listening to the ABC Radio reports and watching the television of the test matches in England. And it's certainly going to be great fun, this opening test match. I believe Australia have got a good side, and I think they can win this Ashes series, Trevor.
Right, comments there from Ken Casillas. And a passage of play worth remembering. There were plenty of them in the first quarter, but a passage of play involving a goal from Bradley Rowe along the members' flank. Let's have a look at it now. Right centre wing, bullet-like pass. Matera dropped what he should have taken. Good shepherding by Turner, but Edgar's got pace. He cut in front of them there. That was a brilliant piece of play by Stephen Edgar. He kicks to half forward, Lester Smith up, and he's got the mark and it's been paid. On he goes to Christie, close to the boundary. George Christie in the left full forward pocket. On to Bradley Rowe. He heard the call, and Rowe makes no mistake. Bradley Rowe, one of the promising players in the WAFL so far this season, Brian.
Certainly has. Has had an outstanding season. A rover with great pace and also great commitment. He gets in and uses his body. I noticed before Trevor Doug Gibb on the boundary line with his arm strapped up, and he's obviously dislocated, I'd say, a wrist or an elbow, and will obviously take no further part in the game.
Yeah, we've seen some bad injuries this weekend, haven't we, with Abbott yesterday, David O'Connell, and now Gibb today.
Yes, and didn't we saw one at Leederville, didn't we, Trev?
Was a young chap carried off here in this earlier game here with a dislocated
There's a young chap running off right now, and he's got to really highball it. And he's one of the last to leave. He wanted the last look. Takes a while to get the children off, especially with a crowd like this here today. And you think about 14,000, Ken?
Yes, I'd say at least 14,000.
A typical Foundation Day Derby.
I noticed,
so far.
I noticed John McDonald is back at full forward again, Ken.
Second quarter getting underway. 1 goal the difference in favour of South. The bounce favours Edwards. Durack is with him, but a good tap by Edwards. Only as far as Foreman. Shuffled it out. The target was Quill. Durack again. On to Rowe. Rowe cuts around the pack and pulls the ball across his body. Back to the centre, but Ditchburn met it nicely and has marked the post to Lawrence. So South go forward again. Bullet-like pass. O'Sullivan almost the mark. Here he missed it. Back comes O'Sullivan. Great play. He was tripped. He'll take the free kick at centre half back for the Sharks.
And he's been a real stumbling block.
O'Sullivan. He's kicked it into the path of Edwards. Browning spoils him though. Now a chance for Rioli. Pushed out of the way by Browning. That hand pass only as far as Turner at close quarters. Brilliant vision by Turner, but Geary couldn't control the football. Allowed Quill in. Now Foreman. Cooper gets around Matera. Drives the ball towards centre half forward. Ditchburn. Good mark. Away he goes. Sweeping hand pass to accommodate Brad Collard. Onto his brother. He's in trouble. Well tackled by Thorne. And that's holding the ball.
Not too happy with his brother, I think, telling him he's given him a hospital hand pass.
Thorne to half forward, and a good safe mark in defence taken by Cliff Collard. Bradley Rowe being brought back on the mark. The kick out wide. This is Derek Collard. Collards are in control at the moment. The kick to half forward. Willie Rioli on his own. Cuts inboard around Ryder. Then goes looking for Wilson. Good play, South. Paul Wilson, 40 metres out on a 45-degree angle. A chance here for Wilson to bring up his second goal of the match. That's John Lawrence, 15. Lester Smith on. We're right behind the kick of Wilson. That looks pretty good. Swings away though and hits the post. A nice in-swing from Wilson, but it was too much. So the Bulldogs by 7 points now. Ellis favours the outer side of the ground. From the back, Foreman knocks it on. Only as far as Edwards. He feeds Mascos. Mascos goes for the chip pass and Derek Collard misses the mark. With him is Cooper. He paddles it away for Wilson. Left foot bounces to Ellis. Cooper. Cooper drives it out of the danger zone. Back to the wing. Solon misses the mark. Christie lost the football. Across comes Brad Collard. Feigns the hand pass. That was a loose hand pass eventually. Picked up by Ryder. Shrugs the tackle of Rioli. And then kicks the half forward. Knocked away from Cole by Worsfold, number 18. Big crowd watching play. Seen a thoroughly entertaining game so far. Durack. Row off the ground. Chance for Browning. With him is Dean Wilson. This is Cliff Collard. Solon. Kicks it out wide. Oh, brilliant mark for Quill. Defensive side of the square for the Sharks. Little chip pass to the middle, ill-directed. Morris Rioli's got it. That wasn't a good hand pass either. Turner had time. Now he feeds Collard. Fifth Collard to half forward. And McDonald up. No mark taken. Matera sweeps onto it. Inside 50 metres. Open goal mouth. There's the kick by Peter Matera, but he's away to the right-hand side. And through for the minor score. A golden opportunity missed there by Peter Matera.
Yes, so even though he's out the boundary line, he did have time to steady. Difficult shot.
Morris Rioli loath to use his right foot, Brian. A natural left footer, and he's been trapped a couple of times on his right foot.
O'Sullivan puts it back into play. Up goes Edgar. What are his stats now, Ken?
Edgar's third mark, kick number 9.
Towards the wing. Thorne. Oh, half-hearted attempt. He tried to knock it on. Now Browning does better. Bradley Rowe, pace, sizzling to 50 metres. There's the drop pump. This is a beauty. Won't quite reach. Tunbridge got a knock on the ear, and it's been forced through for a behind.
That was a strange bit of play there,
wasn't it? I'd like to see that again. May not have time for the moment. As Grant favours the outer side. Edwards, no mark taken, and the pack's been brought down. A free kick has been picked out. To be taken by Derek Collard.
The very few quicker players I've ever seen, actually, Ken, than Bradley Rowe when he broke away before.
Lovely acceleration.
I think he's got blood coming out of an eyebrow too. This is meant for Ditchburn. Sharked by George Christie, who punched the full forward off the chest of Peak. Bimino gave it away to Worsfold, who was in more trouble than he was. Derek Collard, that's a good pickup. Pulls it around the corner, and the mark has been taken by Ditchburn. It's fast and furious. That's meant for Firmino. Clean bowled him onto Edwards. Now Firmino. Matera at half back for South Fremantle. Working it around the outer side slowly but surely. Now it's inboard. This is better place for Rioli. He's caught by Cole. Dispossessed. Well done, Dean Cole. Now Ryder. Durack steals it away from them. Free kick has been played. The advantage rule for Durack. The kick out wide. Peak. Knocked away by Firmino. Now there's a foot race on. First to arrive Edgar. Backed himself to beat the Collard. Couldn't do that. Christie inboard. Too wide for Browning. Solon gave it away. Should have been holding the ball. The umpire coming in to bounce it down. Do you think he handballed that? I thought he just dropped it.
No, I thought he actually endeavoured to handball it out. I won't get a chance to look at it.
Like a hot potato, wasn't it? Durack won the tap. Rioli, Browning held but not in possession. Cooper onto Edgar. Inboard to Rowe from 40 metres out. It's off the side of the boot. Just made it for a behind. Robert Solon thought he'd handball it because he remonstrated with the umpire for some time. Six South, 5-6 East Fremantle. This is Grant doing a good job at full back. Puts the ball back into play. The target is Edwards. Durack at the back. I think Edwards came down like one of those tall buildings. You see explosions underneath. This is Collard, well shepherded by his brother. Derek Collard drives to Rioli. Pushed in the back. Play on. That was a blatant push from Thorne.
Yeah, they're the sort of free kicks that should be given. They can lead to a lack of control with umpires, but they don't pay those ones.
There's Grant Vernon at fault there.
Edwards beats Brad Collard. He screws the ball to half forward. Wilson and Thorne on a collision course. Bit of acting by Wilson. O'Sullivan at the back. Palms off Wilson. Kicks towards the wing. Edgar and Solon from the back. Browning. Good mark. Dean Wilson's competitive. Browning a chip over the top for Christie. Inboard to Cole. He runs to right half forward. Kicks towards full forward. Peak is there, but in front Firmino. Good defensive mark by Ned Firmino. Now Grant. He favours the outer side of the ground and finds Peter Matera, who missed what he should have taken. With him as Foreman, held with not in possession. No kick from umpire Garrett. Turner kicks into the man. Back comes Turner. Confronted by Tunbridge. He tumbled over him. Grant wanted too long. Holding the ball to decision. Bradley Rowe, the tackler. The crowd don't like it. Now we've got tempers being frayed here. Bit of a blue on. Bradley Rowe emerging like a little gollywog. He came out from between legs there.
Good strong tackle.
Thought the kick was there, Brian?
Yes, I think so. But I think the thing is with the crowd that they missed a couple of earlier ones, particularly one to Peter Matera.
He's too far out to score, but he's a prodigious kick for a little bloke. There it goes. It won't quite reach. Edwards up. One behind. South Fremantle 6-6. East Fremantle 5-7.
And Brad Rowe 1 goal 5.
This is Grant. Waiting for the break. Favours the outer side of the ground because he saw Big Craig out there. Up he goes, sticky fingers Edwards, marking in front of Tunbridge.
His first mark for the match.
Favours the outer wing. The target is Wilson, so Sullivan with a big fist. The boundary umpire right on the spot.
East Fremantle are winning in the two main positions at centre half back and centre half forward, Ken. They should be probably doing a little bit better considering the dominance they have in both those positions with Browning and O'Sullivan.
Yes, I think they're going to be right in this game, East Fremantle.
Tunbridge won the tap, Cole the rover. It's a call from Derek Corp. Cooper was just short of him. Oh, he wasn't ready for that, Tunbridge. He's dispossessed and socket upfield by Turner, only as far as Cole. Well, he's able to recover. He had time. Lester Smith's in this. With him was Ditchburn, comes to Rowe. He's everywhere now. That's a great snap, but it's just offline and out of bounds on the full. He's starting to have a real influence on this game, Bradley Rowe.
He's the leading kick getter, Trevor, on the field at the moment with 11 kicks.
This is Grant again. He's had plenty of kicks. Around the outer side he goes. Edwards and Foreman. Edwards in front. Also there was Tunbridge. He's paid the mark to Craig Edwards. Not much happening as far as goal scoring at the moment. It's a tight defensive game, Brian.
Certainly is, Ken. Trevor, I think we've only had one goal scored since quarter time, and we're now 10 minutes in.
That wasn't a good kick. Well read by Cooper. Cooper drives to full forward. Bomber Pete! 30 metres out, directly in front.
Well, Brian Peake missed a goal earlier, I think, in the first quarter, Ken, that you wouldn't expect him to miss. I don't think he'll miss this time.
He's had 2 kicks so far, both resulting in behinds.
Bomber lines up. This will come back nicely. Splits the middle. That's Brian Peake's first goal of the match. East Fremantle take the lead by 1 behind. There's 7-7. South are 6-6. Or is it 6-7?
Yes, Eric Cooper, who's probably been a little bit quiet in the middle. And it's a great pass. He had a look and he saw Peake leading out in front of Ned Fermano. Peake took the mark.
1 point the difference, Brian. 6-7 plays 6-6 in favour of the Sharks, and we've been playing 12 minutes. Who've been some of the leading kick getters, Ken?
Well, Brad Rowe in this quarter's had 6 kicks for a tally of 11, and he's been dominant, and Craig Edwards has taken 2 marks, so he's doing well this quarter as the umpire, Trevor Garrett, decides to bounce it down again. Other good kick getters, O'Sullivan at centre-half back for East Fremantle's had 6, and Browning at centre-half forward for East Fremantle, 3 marks and 8 kicks, and Stephen Edgar's had 9 kicks.
John Lawrence, you saw on the boundary, must take after his mother. He's certainly better looking than his father. This is Cole. He pulls the ball across his body to centre half forward. Good battle there between Wilson and Browning. Foreman runs onto it now. Chips into the pocket. That's a good lead by Durack. Out in front of Grant. And a nicely weighted pass coming in to accommodate Lance Durack. He'll shoot on maybe a 60-degree angle, but he's only 25 metres out.
Breeze not a factor here at East Fremantle Oval this afternoon. Very still afternoon.
It's a great afternoon for footy, Ken.
Yes, and I think Durack should have no difficulty with this shot.
He chips at goal. He's pushed it across the face, and 1 behind the result.
Well, every time you say they're good things, they miss out.
Magro's relieved. (6-6) South Fremantle trailing East Fremantle 6-8. Grant goes right down the middle of the ground. Edwards and Tunbridge. Now it's Lester Smith from 50 metres out. He drives at goal and drives handsomely for the Sharks. East Fremantle 7-8, South are 6-6, and East Fremantle work their way clear, but still a very even ball game.
Yes, it is a probably an even ball game, Trevor, though East Fremantle have had the ball on their forward line for the majority of this quarter. They've now just kicked 2 goals and within a relatively short space of time, and the South Fremantle players now just got to take stock of the situation. I notice Willie Rioli's coming off the ball, changing with Derek Collard.
8 points in favour of the Sharks. What about the ruck duels at tap downs between Edwards and Tunbridge and Durack?
Well, Tunbridge had the best of the duels in the first quarter, but Edwards has come back into the game and being opposed to Tunbridge in the second quarter. East Fremantle through Thorne again go into attack.
From a hand pass from Edgar, Browning misses the mark. Could have got a push from Wilson. This is Firmino, tackled strongly at ground level. Cole in all sorts of bother as the troops came in. Now Rioli clears for the Bulldogs. Back to the middle of the ground. Bad bounce for Geary. Allows Deracourt in over the top. That wasn't a good hand pass. It was to Thorne under pressure. He was dispossessed by Willie Rioli. In goes Morris Rioli. So does Edgar. Edgar shovels it out. This is Edwards. Beaten by Tunbridge. Away he goes to full forward. Up goes Rowe. Oh, almost a brilliant mark. Not paid by Garrett. Christie pulled off the ball, and that was seen. Graham Melrose concerned, as he always is. You played the mark, Ryan?
Not quite, Trevor. It's one of those ones that you think about, but I don't think I could quite play it. But
Christie, can he extend the lead? It's a good-looking kick. The post is wobbling. One behind.
Great competitor, George Christie, captain of East Fremantle. There's Warren Moscone, former South Fremantle player, now playing with Perth.
And with the police force.
Yes, and having a talk to Richard Lynch from South Fremantle.
He's not under arrest. Edwards plays on quickly, runs away from Tunbridge, kicks up to the wing. Geary, well destroyed by Deracourt. Brad Collard overran it. Good ball handling from Edgar. Thorne, back over the top to Deracourt. Out wide to right, it wasn't a good hand pass. Brad Collard got him in a corner, holding the ball. Some of the hand passing's been very loose. Rioli. You wouldn't be complimenting your teammates with hand passes like that, Brian.
No, you wouldn't be calling too often if they're going to give you those sort of hand
Ellis
passes.
in front, from the back, it was McDonald. This is Geary. Good hand pass. Wilson. Out wide. Cliff Collard from 25 metres. The snap is away to the right-hand side. And one behind only. Deserved better, that move from South.
Well, it deserved better, but I think they should have got something out of it. But there appeared to be a lack of talking. There was plenty of South Fremantle runners where the ball was. And Cliff Collard really rushed that kick a bit, I thought. 17 minutes gone in the second quarter. There's the scoreline. Ellis favours the members' side. Tunbridge too tall for Rioli, but Rioli got him underneath the ball somehow. Edwards arrived late. Now it's a scramble here at half forward with Wilson and O'Sullivan, the two players to emerge.
The fair mismatch, Trevor, there. Willie Rioli and Brad Tunbridge.
It's like me and Keith Slater. Little Willie Rioli, you'd have a go though, Ken.
Yes, he's a slippery customer.
Edwards. Derek Collard to Willie Rioli. Back of the plate of Brad Collard. He got the call from McDonald. He's in this pack, but so is McLean from the back. Shining, gleaming mark. It's out wide for Peake. Oh, nice pass. Deracourt now. Back towards the middle of the ground. Ditchburn in front. Misread it. Brad Collard worked his way to the front. Browning's after him. He's caught. Wilson gave it to Ryder. Lester Smith at 50 metres. Spins away. Beautifully done, but now he's caught. Christie a chance in the right full forward pocket. Slaps it towards the square. This is Cooper. A chance to score. He pulls it across his body and puts it through. Well played, Eric Cooper.
A tremendous team goal, Trevor, I thought. Then great persistence by a series of East Fremantle players, resulting in the goal to Eric Cooper.
See it again, Brian.
Yeah, we look George Christie show great courage here with a player coming straight towards him. He knocked the ball sensibly right out in front of goals. Cooper had a look around and composed himself in a great left foot snap. Cooper's now gone down into the forward line while Brian Peake's gone into the centre of the ground.
The goal umpire was like John Wayne when he signalled that goal. So that gives the Sharks some breathing space. They're 14 points in front all of a sudden. And they go into attack again here. Oh, nice ball handling from Cole. The kick out wide, almost the mark to Cooper, well spoiled by Firmino, who follows up. And a good pass to Wilson. On they go to Rioli. Rioli to half forward, looking for Willie Rioli. From the side, Geary spoiled him though. McDonald overruns it. Geary gives it back to Willie Rioli. From 30 metres, on to Derek Collard. Missed what he should have taken there, but he's pedalled it on to Mascos. And what's Mascos done? Kick the goal. That's his second. They've got away with that, South. Yes, it was a bad fumble that could have been expensive.
Yes, but they've almost repeated the same style of goal of what East Fremantle just kicked before, where we see just persistence by the players, courage by Derek Collard knocking the ball onto Mascos, and it almost looked like he missed the goal for a moment, but he hadn't got it through.
7-7 plays 8-9. 8 points the difference. Sharks leading with 19 minutes gone. 2 goals to Mascos, 2 to Morris Rioli, and for East Fremantle 2 to Lester Smith, the main goal scorers in this match. Durack coming from the side of Edwards. Edwards won the tap, down to Morris Rioli, sweeping hand pass, bad bounce, it favours Ryder, but he's tackled strongly by Wilson. Coming through brilliantly with Brad Collard out in front of Matera, who overruns it. Morris Rioli in there, so is Quill. At ground level, Morris shoveled it out, but the whistle had sounded.
The Collard, the 3 Collard boys, is having a bit of an impact in this quarter, Ken, I'd suggest.
Yes, Cliff's had 3 kicks this quarter, Derek has had 4 kicks this quarter, and Brad's had 3 kicks and a hand pass this quarter.
It's right on the 50-metre line. Durack gets it down to Rowe. Over the top to Thorne. Good football. From half back, Thorne drives towards half forward. Browning and Wilson and Edwards from the side. Into the path of Peake. Now Cliff Collard. He's got plenty of time and with good vision finds his brother Brad. Back it goes to Cliff. Good run. Up along the members' flank, but John O'Sullivan floats into the open spaces. That was meant for Derek. O'Sullivan towards Ryder. Up one-handed. Ditchburn overruns it. Willie Rioli now. Good hand pass for Dean Wilson. Ditchburn. Fimino. Fimino drives to half forward. McDonald. 50 metres out, marking in front of Ellis. He looks a bit lethargic. McDonald drives towards the square. Derek Collard and Thorne at the back. Did he touch that? Did he touch it? No! Hold us out. Did he touch it, Rome?
I think he is suggesting to the goal umpire that he did. But you'd be mad not to try even if you didn't, would you?
I wouldn't have.
Hey, no. A good mark by John McDonald, who's been quite... hasn't had a big impact on the game at the moment. It's his second goal, John McDonald, took one out of the ruck in the first quarter.
It was a great goal.
Yes.
It was one of the goals of the match.
Derek Collard was encouraging the goal umpire to make sure that he waved 2 flags.
Doesn't that typify the game, with South fighting back now to within 2 points? And East Fremantle looked as though they could have got on top, but Christie drives them forward out of the middle. Peake in front of Solid. Solid over the top, going for the ball. In goes Peake now, though. He's 45 metres out. On the left boot. Flower bag pumped the full forward. Grant in front of Tunbridge. Good safe mark. Grant, the outer side of the ground. Edwards. No mark taken. Edgar at the back. Not as productive this quarter, Ken.
No, Edgar's had 1 kick only this quarter.
This is a chance for Christie. Back of the play to Durack. Oh, he got a bouncer. Rioli now onto it.
He has got a right foot, Trevor.
Yes. Knocked away by McLean to the path of O'Sullivan, who wanted too long. Pressure is on, though. Willie Rioli's great skill. Over the top, Morris. Out wide, Peter Matera. That's a dangerous trio. Inside 50. Peter Matera, snap at goal is a beauty. No! Just offline.
As great a player as I think Peter Matera is, he does have to learn that when he's moving around the flanks, one of the Collards, Brad Collard, was about 35 metres out directly in front of goals with no one within 20 metres. If he looked across, he could have passed it to him.
Ellis kicks it back into play and finds his centre half back. John O'Sullivan, he drives around the outer side. Ryder's the target. Rioli up in front. Ryder a good clean mark. Underground pass, but it's going to be effective. Cooper, he can go again. Into the pocket for Peake. The Bombers elusive today.
Mark
kick at
number
goal
5.
From 5th mark, and he'll kick at goal from 45 metres out. No breeze.
Tremendous vision, I thought, Ken, by Eric Cooper in the middle. When he got the ball, he steadied, he had a look, he saw Peake leading out, and placed the ball well out in front of Brian Peake so he could run onto it.
Peake's drop punt, goal umpire doesn't move. Here he goes, John Wayne again. Both barrels.
Yes, Brian Peake is after he kicked the ball, I think even before John Wayne had signalled the goal. He did turn around and acknowledge Eric Cooper, because he actually will see the situation with Cooper now where he has a look, slightly changes direction, and Brian Peake in front of his man takes quite an easy mark.
And what a good example for youngsters with a chest mark. Could you see better than that?
Oh, not too often.
Only if it's you. 63 plays 56 in favour of the Sharks, and it's 23 and a half minutes in this second term. Edwards and Durack, a great shot of them there. The bounce is not a good one, it favours Edwards. A brilliant palm for Mascos. Geary, he sprints away to the 50-metre line, over the top to Wilson. Wilson to Collard, Brad Collard, 25 metres out. He's missed. Grimace on his face. He knows he should have done better. (8-9) South, 1 goal the difference. Favour of the Sharks. Foreman in on top of it. Back to Turner. Knocked away by Durack, off the shins of Bradley Rowe, back to Turner. Now Durack pulls it around the corner for Edwards. You would have thought he'd kicked it to him. He screws it towards half forward. Wilson! A good game he's played today so far. He's a bit slow early.
Yes, he's contesting very hard. He's playing on a very good player in John O'Sullivan.
What are his stats, Ken?
3 marks and 5 kicks, not a bad effort against O'Sullivan, a very experienced player.
From inside 50, that's a good-looking drop punt. It may not quite reach. Collard out, no mark taken, and forced through by McLean. That was Cliff Collard, who got up into the air. He's got a good spring. That's Paul Wilson. A good contest with John O'Sullivan. Shane Ellis. Neatly into the back pocket. McLean over the top. Ryder. He drives up to the wing. Foreman the target. With him is Turner. Foreman will win out. Turner lost his footing. Foreman goes towards half forward. Browning's there with Wilson. Back to Turner. Overran it. Back he comes again. Bradley Rowe. Chipped in. Couldn't win it. Fimino. Rioli nicely done to Mascos. The kicks to centre half forward. Wilson from the back. But O'Sullivan strong. He's tackled though and brought to the ground. Kick went straight up in the air. Durack at left centre wing. For Browning. Almost the mark, not paid by Garrett. Ditchburn at the back. Now Rioli. Kicks to centre half back. Mascos. He's laid on. No, he didn't, and he's given away 50. Well, I thought he might have played on. We might see that again as he's running up to his mark. I thought he took a couple of steps off, Brian.
Actually, I was watching another incident, Trevor. I didn't get a good look at that one.
Let's watch him here. What are your thoughts?
I think he'd be very happy with the decision the umpire made.
Foreman. This is not Wally. Where are you, Wally? Foreman drives with the torpedo. That's a beauty. Rioli at the back. Oh! Over the top of Rowe. He was wrapped in that too. Into the middle of the ground to Wilson. His pace is worrying John O'Sullivan a little. Out to the flank and driven upfield by Worsfold.
Ditchburn, I think it was.
Ditchburn, was it? Holding the ball to try, and that's been the decision against Geary. He's kicked into the man of the mark, Thorne. Ellis now from the hand pass. Over the top to Christie. Christie drives along the members' flank to Lester Smith. Lester Smith, the centre half forward. Good vision to Rowe. This time he beats Rioli. But he had to sit.
They're having a lovely little battle, these two. Two of the smallest players on the field.
Two great players. Look at that torpedo. Sailing goalward. That's the wrong side of the post.
Gee, that was a long kick. That would have travelled 65 metres, that kick.
He's a great kick for a little man. Great player, full stop. 64 plays 58 in favour of the Sharks. The ball to the outer side of the ground from the kick back into play. Edwards has got it. Wanted too long, really. Got time to get it to Fimino eventually, who gets around Christie. Fimino drives to the wing. Up goes Matera, almost the mark. It comes to Ryder. That's a good pass for Rowe, but just out of his reach, and Rioli wins out this time. On to brother Morris. Morris drives to the middle of the ground, to centre half forward. McDonald up, knocked away by Ellis. But beat two South Fremantle players, allows McLean through. He drives to half forward. Bradley Rowe. Willie Rioli's copped a knock in the middle of the ground. He's out of business momentarily. There's the kick to full forward. There's a fight on at half forward, and Lester Smith's taken the mark. That fight between Worsfold and I can't see the player who's underneath Worsfold, but they're running to it now.
Could be George Christie on the bottom of that.
Could be an ugly incident developing here.
No, it's not George Christie.
Pretty hard to tell, Ken, isn't it?
Yes.
Worsfold has had him in a pretty good grip there for some time. It's Cole who's underneath all that. Cooper now emerging.
Ken, I'd venture to suggest Morris Rioli's hurt himself. His last 4 kicks have all been on his right foot.
I was going to say that, Brian, when I had a moment. I don't know whether he could be concussed also, Morris, with that nasty gash over the left eyebrow he received in the first quarter.
Yes, and there's Willie too. He's just copped a knock. He went to shepherd somebody and they ducked underneath and spun him up in the air and he landed right on his back. So I'd say he'll be at the window.
Lester Smith shoots and kicks it.
And more fights are breaking out.
This is going to be real all-in brawl now, because tempers became very frayed before. The umpires are just standing off and watching. They're coming from everywhere. And Burnet's telling the runner, who looks very dishevelled, to leave the ground. That's the off-the-shoulder look. Exposing quite a bit of a hairy chest. But the fight has simmered. Lester Smith's booted the goal. That's his third. There's some fire in this Foundation Day Derby. It's got all the hallmarks of a beauty. Still the umpire Vernon remonstrating with the runner. It's not a bad ensemble he's wearing now.
Third goal to the very dangerous Neil Lester Smith, who has spent a few minutes of the game on the interchange bench.
He's a dangerous player, isn't he?
Oh, yes. I think he was leading goal kicker up until last week. And at the end of the day, he could well end up back on the lead.
There's the scoreline. 2 goals the difference in favour of the Sharks. 32 minutes gone in this quarter. Another long one. Edwards a big thump to half forward for the Sharks. He'll be the first to arrive. O'Sullivan, but he was dispossessed. Foreman through the traffic. Scrambling football at centre half forward. Morris Rioli feeds it out though for Geary. And from 30 metres, Geary is online. It's a goal the difference. Richard Geary brings up his second goal of the match. So 4 players have kicked 2 goals for South. And let's see that again. What a great
play
pass
by Morris Rioli. Great play when the ball's in a congested pack situation. Had great vision, saw Geary. Geary on the break kicked a great goal. Geary's been rather quiet today.
Indeed, Brian. That's his first touch for the quarter. He had 3 kicks in the first quarter. He's had 1 kick for that goal, but he's had 4 hand passes, but only 4 kicks.
Tunbridge fell over. Edwards gets it to Derek Collard across the cliff. There goes the siren. I suppose a tied-up ball game would have been appropriate, Ken, but there it is, a goal the difference in favour of East Fremantle. 10-10 to 9-10. 70 plays 64. Who've been your best players to half-time, Brian?
Well, very quickly running through them. I thought in that quarter the 3 Collard brothers all had very big quarters, and the tackling of the Collards was tremendous. So I thought they all played very well in that quarter. I thought John Ditchburn started the quarter very well and then had a little bit of trouble when Neil Lester Smith came on to replace John Lawrence. For East Fremantle, I think it's been a pretty persistent effort for most of the side. I think Bradley Rowe was the player that has contributed greatly to to them getting back in front at this stage of the game.
Yes, well, Brad Rowe had 13 kicks in the first half, Brian, and he was an outstanding player as he leaves the field there.
Let's run through the goal scorers. Thanks to those best players, Brian. The half-time for East Fremantle. Neil Lester Smith has booted 3. And singles to Cooper, Peake, Edgar, Rowe, Durack and Ryder. And you've got 2 goals down to someone, Ken?
Brian Peake.
2 to Brian Peake, thank you. And for South Fremantle, 2 to Mascos, Rioli, Geary, McDonald, and a single to Wilson. That's Paul Wilson. That's been a tremendous battle. One of the features of the match between Paul Wilson and John O'Sullivan. But there's been plenty of highlights, and we'll be back at after half-time with some of the highlights for you, and of course the resumption of the second quarter. Also the stats will be provided by Ken Casellas. Right now we're going to take you back to East Fremantle Oval. Umpires are out, still waiting for both sides. And what a great derby we've seen here. Foundation Day Derby. At quarter time, it was South Fremantle by 6 points, 6-4 to 5-4, as East Fremantle come onto the ground. At half time, it's East Fremantle by 6 points, 10-10 to 9-10. The leading goal scorers, Lester Smith, who's booted 3, and for South Fremantle, they've got a host of double scorers, Mascos, Rioli, it's Morris Rioli, Geary, and McDonald. South Fremantle follow out East Fremantle. Brian Sikotosto there, and having a chat with him at half-time. He's very pleased with the standard of this derby to half-time. And why wouldn't you be, Ken Casillas? We've seen some brilliant football.
Indeed we have. And one of the reasons why East Fremantle have turned about a one-goal deficit at quarter-time to a one-goal lead at half-time is Brad Rowe. And Brad Rowe's the leading kick getter on the field at half-time with 13 and 3 marks. And Maurice Rioli in the centre for South Fremantle, the veteran champion, he's had 10 kicks and 7 effective hand passes. That makes Maurice Rioli a very effective player. John O'Sullivan at centre half back, 6 marks and 9 kicks, a good strong game, and he's up against a lot of opposition too. Edgar had 8 kicks in the first quarter, only 1 in the second quarter. Cliff Collard came into his own in the second quarter. He's got 9 kicks up to half-time. Willie Rioli, 8 kicks and 6 hand passes. There's number 1 for South Fremantle, Willie Rioli, and he's had a wonderful dual roving with Brad Rowe. Browning played well. He's had 3 marks and 8 kicks at centre half forward for East Fremantle. Edwards, the big ruckman, 7 hand passes and 7 kicks. He's also made 9 effective ruck knockouts. Fimino's had 7. Brad Collard, a good game on a wing with 7 kicks and 5 effective hand passes. Cole, the East Fremantle rover, with 7. And George Christie playing strongly midfield, 6 effective hand passes and 6 kicks.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Ken Casillas, our statistician for our match again today here from East Fremantle Oval. Brian Cousins, how do you see this game panning out in the second half?
Well, it's been a tremendous game, and I suppose in the tradition of the Foundation Day derbies. I remember back a few years ago, actually probably quite a large number of years ago, when Noel Carter kicked the winning goal after the siren.
Yes, I wasn't at that game. Must have been a thriller.
It wouldn't surprise me if this game is finished probably not quite as dramatically as that, but very close to that.
Getting off the subject for a second, I read a very interesting letter in one of the weekend magazines this weekend, Brian, and I think we should have a bit of a look at it. I thought it was quite interesting, this letter, and there we see, you must be joking. A mummy of Ardross about the charisma, or definite lack of it, of Arthur Pagonis. Turn on Football Sunday on Channel 2 and you can have breakfast with the most professional and by far the sexiest sports presenter in Perth, the ever-youthful Trevor Jenkins.
Well, I asked my wife to comment on that, and she said, well, I know Arthur Pagonis, but who's Trevor Jenkins?
And who's that person from West Perth writing your fan mail, Trevor?
It must be somebody very close to home, I'd say, who wrote that. But I refuse to comment. I'm very red-faced, I can tell you, Ken Casillas. And how you arranged that, I do not know. But back to the serious side of this derby, the Foundation Day derby. We are set for what I think will be an outstanding second half of football. Really could rev up into great heights this game. It's also already been thrilling. Big crowd of about 14,000 here at East Fremantle Oval today. The runner back on the ground, the East Fremantle runner. There's the bounce. Over the top was Tunbridge. Willie Rioli with courage through the middle of the ground. He got a high tackle and has been rewarded for that courage. It's Willie Rioli from the middle. It drives south into attack in the opening seconds. Out comes McDonald from the back over the top of Deracourt. Collard went without it. He's confronted by Thorne. The ball being held to them. And that'll be bounced at centre half forward, just forward of that position on the ground. You can see the 50-metre line. Tunbridge up. Rowe. Scrambling football. McDonald's in there for South Fremantle. Tunbridge is 48. It's holding the ball. McDonald's hurt. Or is he hurt? No. He is. I think he did get a whack. The Sharks in control. The kick from Tunbridge across the ground. And Ryder. He's backward of left half back. Goes into the middle. Good lead from Christie. He's forward of centre half back. He's got runners. Through the centre goes John O'Sullivan now. That's a prodigious 60-metre drop punt. Peak is there. And for South Fremantle going to the ground out there was Solent. It's shovelled out in the path of Browning, but chipping in Fimino for South. He's met by Durack. Back comes Browning, dispossessed. Takes it out of the hands of Bradley Rowe. Rowe knocks it on for Lester Smith. Number 4. There's a player down. Lester Smith is down. He's getting up now. But 4 goals to Neil Lester Smith, and East Fremantle lead by 2.
There's been some great examples for young players of the persistence of players when they lose the ball. Clinton Browning here that persisted on, handballed the ball towards his goals, and Bradley Rowe, obviously aware of players around him, knocked it on to Neil Lester Smith, and now Neil Lester Smith's got 4 goals and proving to be a very damaging player.
Peter Worsfold coming in there fairly hard on Lester Smith to let him know that he was around. 2 goals the difference now. That was a great tap to Bradley Rowe from Tunbridge, sends him away, and look at the lead from the bomber. Oh, he's been ridden closely by Solon, beautifully picked up by Browning. Is this the second in as many minutes? Yes, it is. And the Sharks are out of the blocks brilliantly.
A tremendous start to the quarter, 2 very quick goals to East Fremantle. That one emanating out of the ruck, Tunbridge. Bradley Rowe, who is really serving notice on this game now. He's really been directly involved with the last 2 goals. The tap on to Neil Lester-Smith, that one when he had good vision, saw Brian Peake leading out, and it was a great pass to over the Peake, didn't quite hold it, went slightly over his head, and Browning swooped in and kicked a goal.
Some danger signs there, Ken Casillas, do you see?
Yes, I think East Fremantle could go right on with this business and they could record a good win, because Tunbridge, who was off the ball for the greater part of the second quarter, is dominating the ruck in the early part here as Dericourt drives East Fremantle into attack again.
Good use of the body by Foreman allows Edgar in. Had trouble picking it up. Bursting through Cliff Collard now. Close to the boundary, does it brilliantly. Inboard to Fimino. Over the top, Willie Rioli. He's got runners inside. Mascos it is. Attacking side of the square. Pulls it out wide, a little too wide though. This is Derek Collard, spins around nicely, and from a standing start, let's go. Dericourt up in front of the goal line, and it's forced through from behind. Great kick from Derek Collard. Didn't quite carry. South need to score the next goal. They've lost touch with the Sharks in the opening moments of this third quarter. It's 82-65 now. Ellis puts it into play. Tunbridge underneath it, pushed, according to umpire Vernon. So Brad Tunbridge lopes towards half back, into the middle of the ground. Over the top was Ditchburn. This is Brad Collard. Nice spin around Lester-Smith. Gives it to Mascos. He kicks it out wide for Paul Wilson, who takes a good mark, opposed by John O'Sullivan. It's been one of the battles of the day.
It has been a great contest.
5 marks to Wilson, and O'Sullivan's taken 6.
Tunbridge has been paid the mark. Play on now. Perhaps he wasn't paid the mark. Christie lost it. Tunbridge, another chance, goes to the ground. The ball spills out. Ellis paddles it on for Christie. This is John O'Sullivan. Got a favourable bounce. He hand passes it forward of the play. Lester-Smith here, confronted by Worsfold. Lester-Smith keeps it in. Weight of numbers should win out for South. Rioli gets away from Brad Rowe. Hugs the boundary with a kick. Wilson, it was out of bounds. Matera was on his way.
I noticed Peter Matera's got a new hairstyle today, Ken.
Yes, perhaps
had a bit of a perm.
He runs pretty fast, Peter Matera. It might be just windswept.
Tunbridge and Edwards, strength there from both players. Picked up by Cole, who skirts the pack and then drives the ball around the outer side. It carries both Wilson and Browning. Worsfold overruns it, allows Browning back in. Was he leg? Ditchburn gets it across the ground. That's a good run from full back. He also drives it around the outer side, looking for Willie Rioli. Once again, we see Tunbridge with him. And it's another boundary throw in. It's the second time we've seen Tunbridge and Rioli doing battle today.
He's in everything, Willie Rioli.
Edwards. Willie Rioli. Good acceleration. The kick to centre half forward, but a good safe mark by Dericourt. He's away from the defensive side of the square to centre half forward. Browning with Wilson. This is Dean Wilson. Lets it go for Morris Rioli. Good vision. Well, Mascot's got a fickle bounce. Spin from Ryder wasn't successful. He had to handball to Foreman, then to Ellis. Over the top, good vision to Tunbridge. Right centre wing. He offloads a 55-metre drop punt towards Durack. Up he goes, no mark taken. In the pocket, Lester-Smith, held but not in possession. Paddles it to Christie. Christie in the right full forward pocket. Gets a hand pass across to Lester-Smith. Lester-Smith chips around the corner. And he's done it again. 5 goals to Neil Lester-Smith. This has been a very good exhibition. And East Fremantle looking very dangerous now.
Yes, Neil Lester-Smith is turning into a match winner at this stage, Trevor. To have a half-forward flanker kick 5 goals early into the third quarter has been a great performance by this player, and he's starting to compete very hard on the ground. That one, he just dropped into the space, got the ball, and he doesn't miss very many, Ken. 13-10 East Fremantle, 88, South Fremantle 9-11, 65.
South need a goal desperately. Edwards wins the tap. This is Cliff Collard. Screws the ball around the corner, but Dericourt's in the way. Plays on with a hand pass which was ill-directed. Brad Collard intercepting. Drives south forward. Willie Rioli. Well spoilt by Thorne. It lobs there with McDonald. He's got nowhere to go. Gives it away to Willie Rioli. From 45 metres out, he sets it up outside the square, and Geary's taken the mark. He's 25 out, directly in front, and should score a goal, a badly needed goal for the Bulldogs.
Yes, he's kicked two, Trevor, and it was good play by Arthur Mascos then. There was only one East Fremantle player that could have got at Richard Geary. And Mascos ensured that that player had a lot of trouble to get to Geary. Geary had an uncontested mark.
Geary kicks, and he's kicked it. East Fremantle 13-10-88. And with that goal from Geary, South Fremantle now move along to, on the scoreboard, 10-11-71. We played 8 minutes in this third term.
As you mentioned, Trevor, South Fremantle had to get that goal. East Fremantle opened up was probably the largest break between the sides so far in the game. And a great interception actually earlier in the play by Brad Collard enabled that ball to get transferred down the ground very quickly.
There's 17 points that margin. South need to keep up that tempo because East Fremantle are looking very dangerous. Edwards, beautiful palm, but it was well read by Cooper. He drives them forward. Fimino should be the first to arrive. He got a good bounce. Leg. Plays on with a hand pass. Peake intercepts. Shovels it out wide. He was looking for Foreman. Solon also got a bad bounce. This is Christie near the boundary. Now Solon over the top of it. Into his back was Foreman. They played on with a hand pass, so it'll be a bounce. Bad mistake then from Robert Solon. Goes back to mind Peake. Edwards easily wins that to Turner, intercepted by Edgar. Foreman now kicks towards half forward. Ditchburn, it missed him. Peake. Free kick has been paid to Brian Peake. Helbin not in possession. It's too far out to score. 65 metres out from goal, but he'll put it right on the goal line. Didn't get onto the torpedo. Out comes Big Tunbridge though. Lumbers out in front of Grant. The kick wasn't a good one, but Tunbridge read it well. He'll shoot from 25 metres directly in front.
Actually, Trevor, as that Brian Peake was going back for his kick, I was watching the South Fremantle players running down, and there was a gap in front of Tunbridge, which is always a basic of football. When someone's having a shot from well out, you always have someone in front of the pack. Tunbridge had a clean run at the ball to take that mark.
Made no mistake. Let's see if he can finish it off. He's pretty good as a rule. I think he's kicked truly on this occasion. A nice kick from Brad Tunbridge to bring up his first goal of the match. And once again, East Fremantle stretch that lead. East Fremantle go to 14-10-94. South at 10-11-71. So the margin back to 23 points, Brian.
Yes, Trevor, a big responsibility I think rests on Craig Edwards' shoulders now. As the game wears on, he's had to contest with both Durack and Tunbridge. They're having the opportunity of having a spell at full forward every 10 minutes, and Tunbridge now kicking up a goal. But Craig Edwards has got to do the job all on his own for the whole game.
A little bit of demon sneaking in there. Now the umpire's picked out a kick. Edwards, the recipient, in the middle of the ground. McDonald leads. Edwards kicks towards full forward. It's a prodigious kick too. McDonald is sandwiched. It comes out to Mascos, who's in all sorts of bother. Through the traffic, McDonald. Once again, Mascos loses his footing. Ellis is there, ground level. Turner read the hand pass nicely. The snap won't reach. It carries two players, Wilson and also Thorne, and that's tapped through for the minor score. Shane Ellis will put the ball back into play for East Fremantle. 22 points the margin. O'Sullivan. Brad Collard's with him. There's Willie Rioli. Brad Collard says he's holding the ball. So does Willie Rioli. Trevor Garrett says not on your life. What were your thoughts there, Brian?
Yes, I believe when a player's got control of the ball, he's got a responsibility to get the ball moving. It's a game of football, and I would have agreed with Brad Collard. I think he should have given a free kick. Wilson and Durack. Durack palms it to the side. Socket on for the Bulldogs. Willie Rioli and Dericourt get mixed up. Shovelled out to Edgar. He's played it this time, Garrett. Well, that was lightning.
I don't know whether I agree with that.
Well, I think basically that's a follow-on from the previous decision. I think it's a very difficult job umpiring, and quite frankly, I think the umpires have done an excellent job so far in this game, but perhaps Trevor Garrett had realised he'd made an error the first time and wasn't going to be caught a second time.
The obvious explanation, because he gave a lightning decision then. The player, Dericourt, had no chance.
Willie Rioli with a great chance from 25 to 30 metres out from goal. There's the drop punt, he's pushed it across the face, and one behind, and the East Fremantle members love it. Magro's not so happy though.
I see Jim Hurst there, the team manager for East Fremantle, directly behind Stan Magro.
21 points the margin in favour of the Sharks. Ellis favours the outer side. This is danger. Morris Rioli spoils. Nicely down to Geary, onto Willie Rioli. He sets it up outside the square for Mascos. This should be a goal.
He could have blazed away there, Brian, Willie Rioli.
Yes, tremendous skills, Willie Rioli. A beautifully weighted foot pass. He had a look.
So Mascos will shoot from a 45-degree angle, but he's only about 12 metres out. Kick is on its way, and that's the third goal for Mascos for the match. So he's been a sharpshooter today for the Bulldogs. Not
Yes.
generally known as a goal kicker, Ken.
No, he came into league football as a back pocket player and a half-back flanker, and I haven't seen him kick too many goals at all.
No, I certainly haven't either, Ken, but I've been very impressed with his work today, Ken. He's been a very determined player. He's persisted very hard with tackling and chasing, and finished off his what is basically, I think, the feature of his play is his aggression, his strength in the packs with 3 goals.
15 points the margin. Just check that again in a moment. There's a bit of indecision on the scoreboard there. Turner overruns it. Diving on top of the football. Foreman is there for East Fremantle. Emerging with the football, Derek Collard. Over the top was Ryder. Edgar through the congestion, gave it to Durack, who gives it to Foreman. He loses it. Back comes Dericourt. Nicely done through the middle of the ground. Derek Collard is hurt behind play. Browning spoiled by Wilson. Play on the call. Browning gets it through the traffic. It's straight to Grant, who breaks away. Nice shepherding by Worsfold. The kick out wide to accommodate Geary. He's got Edgar to beat. He does it well. Kicks to half forward. Out in front of Willie Rioli. With him is Thorne. The boundary line wins out. Rioli got a push. Throw it in, says umpire Grant Vernon.
And Willie Rioli's been on fire in the early stages of the third quarter. He's picked up 6 kicks already in this quarter, and it's only just 15 minutes old.
15 points the difference. 14-10, 11-13. Durack, a big swing at the ball. Didn't make contact. Advantage rule played. The shot at goal from Geary, and he's put it through. Geary's booted 4 now for the match. Lester Smith for East Fremantle's kicked 5, and that was a very slick bit of play around the outer side. Let's see it again. Durack missed with that palm, and away went South.
And there was 2 players there, either Geary or Willie Rioli, that were able to get rid of the ball, and a great shot on the run. It's very interesting. I only made the comment a few moments ago that Neil Lester Smith could be the difference between the 2 sides, with a half-forward flanker kicking 5, and now Richard Geary has kicked a couple of goals to bring his tally to 4.
You've got to give it to South, Brian, to fight back under these conditions. It's a good effort.
Great performance.
It's still right in this ball game. It's anybody's match. Look at the brilliance of Rioli. Well caught, David. He gives it to Turner from 50 metres. That kicks offline and bounces just in the field of play. It'll be a boundary throw in 10 metres around from the behind post in the right full forward pocket. But great play then from South, and they've lifted their ratings.
They certainly have, and they're certainly doing great justice to the big crowd that's here today. Both sides playing tremendously well.
Big pack around the ball. Wilson opposed by Durack. From the side, it was McDonald. A little bit of aerial ping-pong. This is Matera. He ran out of space. McLean forcing him to the boundary.
And we certainly haven't seen much of Peter Matera this afternoon. 5 kicks only. 5 kicks and 2 hand passes to number 7 for South Fremantle.
Wilson, clean possession. Well caught by Durack and holding the ball. Ambitious then from Paul Wilson. Durack. The back pocket, chips for O'Sullivan, danger. Rioli chipping in, Matera, brilliant hand pass, Cliff Collard, goal coming up. Cliff Collard kicks his first goal for the game, and South Fremantle edge even closer now to within 3 points of the Sharks at the 17.5-minute mark, and Ken who have been some of the leading kick getters in this term. Let's watch this bit of play first.
Actually, Cliff Collard I see coming off the ground after that great goal, but what a tremendous interception by Maurice Rioli. Read the play when the kick came from Durack, I think, to John O'Sullivan. Rioli chipped in, knocked it down to Peter Matera.
As I said, Willie Rioli's had 6 kicks this quarter. Richard Geary's had 3. Cliff Collard's had 2 this quarter. And Tunbridge, East Fremantle's had 4 kicks this quarter. Mascos has had 3. And Derricourt, the East Fremantle half-back flanker, has had 3 kicks this quarter. And Neil Lester-Smith had 2 kicks for 2 goals in this term.
Yes, I noticed there, Trevor, that Cliff Collard did come off. I'm not sure whether he's injured or...
I'd say the message might have gone out to him before he got that goal.
Yes.
Because he didn't appear to be injured.
Yes, and Dean
that's
Nolan.
David Rowe. He's ready to come on too for East Fremantle, number 21. No relation to Brad Rowe. There's the margin, 3 points now. Game's right on. Tunbridge over the back. Knocked on by Rioli, but read by Cooper. He runs into trouble. Was being held to him, according to umpire Vernon. He's holding his face, Eric Cooper. He got a whack across the bridge.
And I see Stephen Edgar's the player coming off for David Rowe to come on.
Edgar started brilliantly, but faded in the second term. Edwards, straight down the throat of O'Sullivan, couldn't get his kick in, well tackled by Wilson. Rioli shovels it out. This is McLean through the congestion. Good kick to centre half forward, Browning. Wanted to play on, he does now. Cuts inboard and from 40 metres out, that's a good looking kick, Clint Browning. That's his second goal. East Fremantle get a bit of breathing space, Brian.
Yes, well, whenever either side look like getting a run on with a number of goals, the opposite team has responded accordingly. Grant Browning here took the mark. He had a player running past on one side, which I think was the concern of the South Fremantle defence, and Browning, realising that he had a moment, went back the other way and kicked a great goal on the run. But both sides respond, don't they, Trevor? If a side gets a run on 2 or 3 goals, they then put it in and respond very quickly.
9 points the difference, bit of jostling in the centre of the ground. Fimino, good courage. Bradley Rowe went over him like a moss group with a hurdler. There's a lot of congested play. Finally it's back towards the middle. Edwards, a socket kick off the side of the boot. Paddled out by Matera. He wanted too long. Well tackled by Christie. Wilson's got it now, intercepted by Derricourt. McLean, O'Sullivan, good play Sharks. Back to half forward, but it's all the Bulldogs here. This is Maurice Rioli. Brilliant pass. Wilson. Just inside the boundary. Turner. He cuts inboard. That's a good looking kick. He sets it up towards centre half forward. But in the way, Tunbridge was meant for McDonald. Across the ground goes Brad Tunbridge for Neil Lester-Smith. He's taken the mark at right centre wing. Plays on quickly. Goes to half forward. Leading out is Cole in front of Worsfold. He's at right half forward now. Look at the runners coming down the ground. The kick into the pocket. Peak out in front of Solon. Welcome, Metropolitan viewers. We're watching a great game of football here. This is into the square. Up goes Durack, spoilt by Grant. That's a boundary throw in, right alongside the behind post. South led at quarter time by 6 points, 6-4 to 5-4. East Fremantle at half time by 6 points, 10-10 to 9-10. And there's the scoreline now, 9 points the difference. Edwards and Durack. Edwards a good tap. Fimino, Worsfold, Ditchburn and Peak. It's in the right full forward pocket. Lester-Smith's booted 5 today. Number 18 for East Fremantle. That was Brad Collard getting it out for Derek Collard. He's close to the boundary and he's kicked it out of the full. That wasn't good play, but he was under pressure. There's Michael Brennan, who is reflecting on what it might have been yesterday. This is Eric Cooper, who's kicked a couple of brilliant goals today. He's at right half forward. Good looking torpedo. Durack's in this. Knocked on by Grant. Solon through the congestion to Edwards. South out of trouble. 25 metre hand pass to Maurice Rioli. He chips it out wide. This is Derek Collard. He goes around the boundary. Willie Rioli couldn't pick it up on the half. Polly paddles it back, but straight into the path of an East Fremantle player. And they dive in on top of it. That's Will emerging. Brian Cousins is with me, and so is Ken Casellas. Wally Foreman, if you're listening, hope you're feeling better this afternoon. McLean kicks it forward. Wilson, Dean Wilson, centre half back. Some great clashes all over the ground in this match. This is a good strong mark taken by Geary. He's away. Puts it out in front of the runners here. Nalder's there, so is O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan, well done. Got a favourable bounce though. Goes to centre half back. Cole missed what he should have taken. He's got time to recover. Now he's in a bit of bother. This is David Rowe. Kicks to the wing. Good vision. Deracourt. Foreman's the runner through the middle. He goes to centre half forward. Browning. Browning into the pocket. Neil Lester-Smith, the danger man. He's marked 30 metres out. A pretty acute angle. He's going back to centre half forward. Christie forward of centre half forward, about 30 metres out. Christie, but on a better angle.
Yes, Neil Lester-Smith kicked 5 goals today, Trevor, and been a very influential player. At that time saw Christie in a better position, and Christie hopefully will kick a goal.
It's close. I think he's missed.
I say hopefully to respond to the good play by Neil Lester-Smith.
101 plays 91 in favour of the Sharks. 22 and a half minutes gone. This is Grant, the fullback for South. He's played a good game. Favours the outer side. Edwards has got a sprint, but he's short of the ball. McLean is there for East Fremantle. Feeds Bradley Rowe over the top, looking for Neil Lester-Smith, but the boundary line wins out. That's Peter Worsfold, who is involved in a brawl in the second quarter. 10 or 12 players involved. A pretty physical game, Ken.
Yes, and Peter Worsfold hasn't had a kick since then. He's only had 2 kicks for the match.
Fimino out in front of Brad Collard. Plays for touch. It's out of bounds at right half forward for East Fremantle. 15-11-101. South of 13-13-91.
Willie Rioli, the leading kick getter on the field so far with 14, followed by Morris Rioli with 12.
Edwards, good use of the body, brilliant palm to Willie Rioli. He kicks the half forward. Wilson. We've mentioned it before quite a few times with Wilson, Paul Wilson, and John O'Sullivan, one of the best clashes of the day. This is Peter Matera with skill, but he was caught. Gets it to Morris Rioli, centre half forward, goes across the ground. He's looking for Turner. He's found him. 50 metres out. Got a good kick on him. Don't know, he's going for the pass, still directed. A safe defensive mark to Peter Quill. Morris Rioli arriving a little late. You can see some battle scars on Morris's left eyebrow. Really been a Foundation Day battle today. David Rowe over the top, no mark taken. Back comes Rowe. Did well, the youngster. Wilson, almost a mark, gets the push. Peter Matera wants to play on. Wilson wants to go on with it. Clinton Browning says get on with the game. It's been another good duel today, really, Brian, hasn't it?
Yes, they have. Both the centre half forward and centre half back clashes with the Wilson brothers playing against Browning and O'Sullivan. Both been great clashes.
This is Peter Matera now, who took that mark. He goes short. Over the top, McDonald. Paid the mark.
Peter Matera has been quiet this afternoon. That was his 6th kick only, and we're towards three-quarter time as McDonald drives South into attack.
He's going to put it up just outside the square. Tunbridge and Edwards. No mark. Oh yes, he's paid Tunbridge the mark. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Tunbridge. Big Bird watching on. Goes short. Quill drives around the outer side to the wing. Christie, nicely read. Inboard for Shane Ellis. Foreman gets around Nalder. He's at right centre wing. Kicks to half forward. Ditchburn at the back. No mark. Dean Wilson now. He pulls the ball back towards the wing. Brad Collard's underneath it and takes... No, Ellis has robbed him of it, but the kick is going to Collard. He's also got some battle scars on his cheekbone. Got to go back behind the mark.
A former captain of South Fremantle, and he's playing the game you'd expect a captain to play. Ken, he's worked extremely hard, Brad Collard, with tackles and his competitiveness. A wobbly looking punt. Foreman's well placed. Ducked his head.
The umpire's paid out a kick to go to John Dericourt. Didn't see what that was for. Interference in the pack. He's found Christie. Didn't gain too much ground. They maintained possession at right half back. Front of the scoreboard. Kicks to half forward. Browning, up he goes, couldn't take the mark. Running onto it, McLean, couldn't find the handle. That's out of bounds with Nolder putting the pressure on. Gibb is off the ground with what looks to be a fairly serious hand injury or wrist. This is Nolder doing the ruck work, opposed by Browning. Now it's David Rowe. Kicks to half forward, Cooper. Attacking side of the square, marking in front of Turner. On to Christie. He offloads to full forward. The bounce beats all players. Peaks at the back. The bouncing ball picked up by Peake. He couldn't keep it in play. That was unnecessary, Lester Smith.
Christie's been a good solid contributor for East Fremantle. 5 marks, 9 kicks, but he's fired out 10 effective hand passes, and 3 of those hand passes have resulted in goals.
Great player for East Fremantle is George Christie. Durack, only as far as Grant. Fimino overruns it. Bradley Rowe, danger man in the forward pocket. He gets around onto the right boot. He couldn't pull it back. In fact, he's kicked it out on the full. What a Rose stats today, Ken.
Yes, Brad Rose had 15 kicks and Willie Rioli's 15, so they're the leading 2 kick getters on the field.
Another great battle. This is a good mark, David Rowe. Not paid. East Fremantle supporters didn't like that. Socked away by McLean. Into the path of Ellis. What's he doing up there? He has a snap. I think he's kicked it. Yes. Ellis, who's been most of the day at full back in the forward area, has booted a goal. Looks like Rivers Riders at full back. Ellis in the forward line. East Fremantle 16-11-107 and South 13-13-91. 16 points the margin.
Yes, I noticed a few moments ago, Trevor, that the East Fremantle runner was out on the ground directing Shane Ellis down to the forward line. He's obviously been moved into attack, and the move has played immediate dividends for Graham Melrose.
A goal signalled. So the game's on. And South Fremantle come back again. Mascos and Christie. Good work by Christie to Ellis. Ellis kicks the ball forward. Peake. Knocked away by Solon into the path of Worsfold. He's got to get rid of it quickly. Follows up his own ball. Good play. He kicks back to the middle of the ground. Collard over the top. Cooper. Morris Rioli for Peter Matera. He lets it go for Wilson. Out wide, the run of Turner. Brilliant play. Attacking side of the square. He kicks the full forward. A chance here for Edwards. Just out of his reach. McDonald and Pillar there. That's forced through for a behind. Ryder also there for East Fremantle. Very quick transference of play then that it gave the South Fremantle forwards a chance. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite get in a position to take the mark. Explosive young player, isn't he, Greg Turner?
Yes, very impressed with him, Trevor, in his first season of league football.
Tunbridge puts it back into play. Up he goes again. Turner, safe mark. Time running out for South here. They need a goal before three-quarter time. 31 minutes have gone. Turner sets it up in the square. He's looking for Edwards. Over the top, Durack. Christie overran it. O'Sullivan relieves the pressure, but looks as though Turner might mark again. He has. He's pinged everything in the last few moments. Player of the future, Greg Turner. Edwards didn't fly. Comes to O'Sullivan. They're getting it away too easily here, the Sharks. Mascos up in front. Knocked away by Cooper. Nolder. Ditchburn inside. Over the top for Wilson. Attacking side of the square. He's got a player loose in Brad Collard. Gets around Ryder nicely. And then chips into a vacant space and finds Collard. Derek Collard is marked. 35 to 40 metres out directly in front. And today Derek Collard has been kept goalless. His brother Cliff, though, has booted one. Derek Collard, a great chance to bring South closer. Drop punt looks good. Made no mistake. It's a goal to the Bulldogs just before three-quarter time. That siren should sound shortly. It's 107 to 98. 16-11 plays 14-14 and very close to three-quarter time.
Yeah, very important goal for South Fremantle to bring the scores back closer once again. Tremendous play by Brad Collard to feed the ball to his brother. I noticed Bryce Foreman coming off the ground and Stephen Edgar coming back on. Stephen Edgar had a sensational first quarter with about 8 or 9 possessions, but since then hasn't had anywhere near the same impact on the game.
Margin back to 9 points in favour of East Fremantle. Tunbridge, and there's the siren. So 3/4 time at East Fremantle Oval in a great Foundation Day derby. There's the scoreline with 9 points, the margin in favour of the Sharks. For East Fremantle, Lester Smith has booted 5 goals, 2 apiece to Brian Peake, Clinton Browning, and singles to Cooper, Edgar, Rowe, Tunbridge, Durack and Ryder. John Ditchburn also sporting a few marks on the face. It's been a pretty tough game, this one. For South Fremantle, Geary has booted 4, Mascos 3, doubles to Morris Rioli and John McDonald, and singles to Cliff Collard, Derek Collard and Paul Wilson. David Rowe, number 21, picking up a couple of kicks when he came on. Ken, who've been the leading kick getters to 3/4 time?
Thanks, Trev. Well, 2 players have got 15 kicks up to 3/4 time. 2 little men, 2 of the smallest men on the field, Willie Rioli for South and his East Fremantle counterpart, the East Fremantle number 1 rover Brad Rowe. They've each had 15. Looking through the East Fremantle side, Durack has had 7 kicks, Tunbridge has had 7 and 4 marks, and Tunbridge had 6 kicks in the 3rd quarter. George Christie, 5 marks, 9 kicks and 10 effective hand passes. Brian Peake had 6 marks, 7 kicks. Brad Rowe, 15 kicks and 2 hand passes. His co-rover Dean Cole has had 9 kicks. Clint Browning playing well at centre-half forward, 5 marks and 11 kicks. Rod Lester Smith, as Graham Melrose points out a few pointers to young David Rowe. Lester Smith, 6 marks and 10 kicks. O'Sullivan, a strong player at centre-half back, 6 marks and 14 kicks. Edgar has had 9 kicks, 8 of those coming in the 1st quarter. John Deracourt's had 9 kicks and 4 marks. And for South Fremantle, some of the leading kick getters, Morris Rioli in the centre, 5 marks, 13 kicks and 9 effective hand passes, so a good performance from Morris Rioli. Greg Turner on a wing, 10 kicks and 4 hand passes. Brad Collard, 10 kicks and 7 effective hand passes. Craig Edwards, the ruckman, 3 marks, 9 kicks, 8 effective hand passes and 14 effective ruck knockouts. Cliff Collard's had 11 kicks. Geary's had 8 kicks, but he's kicked 4 goals. Willie Rioli, 15 kicks and 7 hand passes. Derek Collard's had 9 kicks and 3 hand passes. And further down, Ditchburn's had 4 marks, 4 kicks and 6 effective hand passes. Fimino's had 7 kicks and 7 hand passes. Grant at fullback has had 6 kicks. Mascos has had 9. And Paul Wilson at centre-half forward, 7 marks, 7 kicks and 6 effective hand passes. And at 3/4 time, the free kicks, East Fremantle 17, South Fremantle 20.
It's been a very good exhibition by Grant Vernon and Trevor Garrett here today. Ken, there's been the odd one that has had supporters up in arms, but I think overall a very good exhibition of umpiring by both of them.
Yes, I'll agree with that, with one notable exception when Vernon missed a bad free kick in the 2nd quarter.
Okay, so they're the stats to 3/4 time. It's a 9-point advantage to East Fremantle. This is a good team goal coming up now for the Sharks. Let's have a look at it. Through the centre goes John O'Sullivan now. That's a prodigious 60-metre drop punt. Peake is there, and for South Fremantle going to the ground out there was Solon. It's shovelled out on the path of Browning, but chipping in Fimino for South. He's met by Durack. Back comes Browning, dispossessed. Takes it out of the hands of Bradley Rowe. Rowe knocks it on for Lester Smith, number 4. Yes, that was his 4th. He's now got 5. There he is, Neil Lester Smith. A real will-o'-the-wisp, Brian Cousins, in the forward area, isn't he?
He certainly is, Trevor. I think he was 4 goals off the leading goal kicker in WA before today's game, and obviously being the split round, he now becomes level in games with the other players. I'd say would put him as the leading goal kicker in Western Australia.
Who have been some of your leading players to this stage of the match?
Well, it's been a tremendous game, Trevor, and to the Metropolitan viewers, we've probably got a crowd of something in excess of 12,000 people here today. For East Fremantle, I think Clinton Browning and John O'Sullivan in the 2, Clinton Browning at centre-half forward, John O'Sullivan at centre-half back, have both been excellent.
We talk about Clinton Browning. Let's watch this passage of play involving Clinton Browning. A brilliant goal by East Fremantle, lightning out of the middle. That was a great tap to Bradley Rowe from Tunbridge, sends him away, and look at the lead from the bummer. Oh, he's been ridden closely by Solon, beautifully picked up by Browning. Is this the second in as many minutes? Yes.
Yes, well, Clinton Browning not only kicking goals, he's competed tremendously well at centre-half forward. Bradley Rowe has been an excellent player. I thought he was a bit quiet in that quarter after a tremendous 2nd quarter. which I believe was probably the reason for East Fremantle getting back in front of South Fremantle. Neil Lester-Smith for his 5 goals and just his pure opportunist play. He is always there. He has to be watched every moment. And George Christie playing a typical captain's game of always being at the bottom of the pack, fighting hard for the ball, feeding out hand passes to players has been tremendous. For South Fremantle, George Christie's opposing number, Maurice Rioli, has played in a very similar fashion. Tremendous leadership, courage, fed out handballs to players running past, been a tremendous player, Maurice Rioli. His younger brother Willie's followed his lead and done some sensational passages of play with great ball skills. Moving on to Craig Edwards, who's had to battle in the ruck against both Tunbridge and Durack and done a great job. Brad Collard, once again another player that contests very hard and has been a tremendous player. And Stephen Grant at full back, I believe prior to the game it was an area where East Fremantle could have had quite a few goals coming from Durack and Tunbridge at full forward, but Stephen Grant, probably not a great possession getter, but has certainly competed very well.
Those comments from Brian Cousins. South Fremantle also playing a great third quarter, and this was a good team goal finished off by Cliff Collard. The back pocket, chips for O'Sullivan, danger, Rioli chipping in, Batera, brilliant hand pass, Cliff Collard, goal coming up. Yes, Cliff Collard, who left the ground shortly after that. There's the coach, Stan Magro. He's given them a rousing speech at three-quarter time, watched by a big crowd who are gathered around both camps. The crowd of about 14,000 here. It's really a big day for West Australian football, Ken.
It is, and I quite like the atmosphere of the people coming on the ground at three-quarter time. I was in South Africa recently, Trevor, and watched several big cricket matches there. And it's interesting, at every interval there, hundreds and hundreds of spectators go onto the field.
Well, if you like, you and I can go out next week and have kick-to-kick.
Well, they have barbecues in South Africa. People bring their own portable barbecues, and during intervals of play in the cricket there, the ground is generally engulfed in smoke and the smell of fresh sausages.
Well, we've had that today here already. Lucky Wally Foreman wasn't here. What's wrong with you, Brian? Have you got a doctor's report?
No, we have got people out trying to find out where Wally is, but if he is tuned in, hope you're feeling better, Wally.
Right, so the final quarter here. What a great quarter this promises to be. There's a young South Fremantle Bulldog in Dean Nalder, number 41.
He's a bit taller than
Willie.
Little rover Willie Rioli.
Yeah. There's another little player, Bradley Rowe, but brilliant. Size doesn't matter when you've got the talent. There's the scoreline. Great last quarter coming up. ABC television football. Maurice Rioli working hard. So as Cooper, he paddled it out to Rowe, sent him away, but the whistle had sounded. Take 2 from the middle of the ground. Trevor Garrett, the umpire. It's Tunbridge opposed by Nalder. Tunbridge, good use of the body. Collard, kick smothered. Christie couldn't get a hand pass in. Brad Collard on top of him. Good looking crowd too.
Hypnotised.
Tunbridge, clean possession, forced a hand pass into the path of Brad Collard. Now Cliff Collard. He boots the Bulldogs forward to centre half forward. McDonald over the top, no mark. Geary through the traffic. O'Sullivan a chance. Ryder working hard at ground level. It's tied up at the 50-metre line, and this time umpire Vernon will come in to bounce down. So it's been a tight football early.
It's been a tight game all day, Trevor, and the players have started the last quarter realising it's a very desperate finish.
Edwards, O'Sullivan, back to the middle, marking duel on here. Well, good courage by Nalder over the top. Willie Rioli clears. Wilson getting away from O'Sullivan this time. He's a left half forward. He can't score from there. He'll put it up just outside the square. The target is Craig Edwards. He's in a mist of East Fremantle players. Maurice Rioli brought down by Bradley Rowe. He got it away though. Wilson running onto it. Oh, big soccer from Christie. That should have been picking in danger. However, it's Glenn McDonald. He's 30 metres out on the angle. There's the chip. And the last line of defence, it's McLean.
Wonderful courage by Paul Wilson.
Puts the ball to half back. Thorne takes the mark. Thorne, he's got nobody to give it to. He goes towards half back. Derek caught up. Takes down the mark. Pulls down the mark. Defensive side of the square. Kicks to centre half forward. Browning in front of Wilson. Up he goes. No mark taken. Well rowed though by Christie. Attacking side of the square to Ellis. He's taken the mark. Plays on from 30 metres out. Chips a goal and pushes it right across the face One behind only.
Shane Ellis hasn't been in attack very long, only it was the last few minutes of the third quarter when he was shifted into attack, Trevor, but he's been a lively player since he's been there, already kicked one goal.
So Grant puts the ball back into play. Willie Rioli up, it knocked away by Edgar, into the path of Ellis, onto McLean. He runs to 35 metres, there's the shot at goal. That looks a bit better. That's a nice goal to McLean. Another youngster for East Fremantle, Craig McLean.
Yes, I think he's only 17, Trevor. He came into league football last year as a 16-year-old.
Brings up goal number 17, Brian, 17-12, 114. South of 14-14, 98. The margin back to 16 points. There's the goal.
Yes, a nice goal on the run and a very good hand pass from Shane Ellis out of a congested situation.
Certainly plenty of talent in the Sharks camp. Up goes Tunbridge. With him was Nalder. Edgar to Christie. Back through the congestion. Shrugs the tackle of Willie Rioli. Pulls it across his body but straight into the waiting arms of Fimino. He changes play. Goes across the ground to the members' wing. Finds Cliff Collard. Good move by South. Not a good kick though. He's kicked it into open spaces. Morris Rioli, great hand pass, brilliant vision to Paul Wilson. He goes out wide to Derek Collard, 25 metres out. Oh, he tried to do too much. Great tackle, Harry Thorne. Riders there now for East Fremantle. They bottle it up in the forward pocket, and O'Sullivan clears away. Nolder up. Good mark.
A great tackle by Harry Thorne. Tremendous tackle.
The lead from Edwards. Oh, did he arrive in time? Play on the call. Morris Rioli. Cooper brings him down into the path of Quill. So once again the Sharks relieve the pressure, but it's back with Nalder. Unbelievable. Wilson's loose. Ignores that. Goes longer. At the back is Edwards. Durack in front, too strong. Sharks looking good at the moment. Christie, offensive side of the square. Sharks are running too. There's loose players going down the ground. This is Derek Quill, who broke from the back line. He kicks to half forward. Lester Smith up in front of Ditchburn. Carries those players to Browning. 55 metres out from goal. He pulls the ball across his body to the 25-metre line. Worsfold misses the mark. Peake paddles through the congestion. Still he goes, the bomber. 45 metres out. Snapshot back on goal. David Rowe. Young supporters liked it. He's only a youngster himself.
Great play by Brian Peake. 2 goals to Brian Peake, and he's now set up a third one for David Rowe.
No mistake about that, Brian. So there, a goal to David Rowe of East Fremantle. There's the scoreline for you. And East Fremantle stretch that margin now to 22 points, and looking very dangerous indeed at the moment.
Yes, I can't help but think back to those 2 great tackles by the East Fremantle defenders, the Harry Thorne tackle on Derek Collard and the tackle on Morris Rioli. I think it was George Christie, and for the defenders to show that great persistence and then see the ball go down, and then Brian Peake showing some great play to set up a goal. It was a great team performance, great defensive, followed up by great forward play.
The South come back. Tunbridge wins the knock. Picked up field again by Christie. He's getting a lot of kicks. Ditchburn was clean bowled. Worsfold was bowled. Pushed to the back by Rowe. Play on the call. Lester Smith's got it now. Loses position. Back comes Rowe. And he pulls it ball back across his body for Peake. Peake is marked. He plays on quickly to Lester Smith. He'll shoot from 25 metres out. That should have been a free kick to South. Don't think we'll see it again, but
I think unfortunately
man in the back.
He did, Trevor, but I was watching the umpire at the time, and there was quite a large group of players between him and the ball, and I think he was unfortunately unsighted. It's going to cost South Fremantle a goal, but I do think the umpire, there was not much he could have done.
It's a goal. Lester Smith booted 6 for the match, and perhaps South Fremantle losing touch with the Sharks at the 8-minute mark of this last term. East Fremantle 19-12, 14-14 the Bulldogs.
Right, we'll see the 3 East Fremantle players involved in this. Firstly, Neil Lester Smith, Bradley Rowe, and look at him, he'll have a look and he'll see Brian Peake in a few moments. Doesn't have a shot for goal, he just goes for the short pass to Brian Peake. And then Peake, after taking the mark, he'll hear the call from Neil Lester Smith and then a quick pass. And there's not too many players you'd want to have taking the kick than Neil Lester Smith.
6 goals straight for Neil Lester Smith.
28 points the difference. Tunbridge up, wins the tap again. McLean, quick hands. This time South should win out with weight of numbers. Cliff Collard, he's got Ditchburn loose. Over the top to Morris Rioli. South should build something up here. Rioli goes long towards McDonald. Wilson in front, over the top, crashing through was Edwards. Derek Collard, shoveled out again. This time it's knocked into the path of Turner by Geary. Turner's snap is away to the right-hand side and through for the minor score only. So South don't look anywhere near as positive now as they go forward.
Trevor, I was just thinking that the pattern of this game, but whenever a team has got a few goals, 2 or 3 in a row, the other side has responded. Now South have got probably the most important challenge of the game in front of them.
O'Sullivan favours the members' flank. McDonald and Ryder. Ryder, good mark at the back. Mascos waiting to come back on. Ryder's kicked to the man of the mark. Paddles it towards the boundary. Now a chance for Paul Wilson. Good shepherding behind the play by McDonald. Willie Rioli too short. O'Sullivan's got the mark. 50 metres.
Poor old Willie Rioli's been caught in about 4 or 5 marking duels today. I think he'd like to be compete against the players. I remember he's marked against Brad Tunbridge twice. He'd like to be competing against him at ground level, I think.
Nice pass. McLean's loose. East Fremantle are running. I think South might be out of petrol. There's the kick into the pocket. Peak up in front, but over the top, the big fist of Solon. 25 to 30 metres out from goal. Peak's had the better of that duel today, Ken Casillas.
Yes, Solon's had his hands full. He's had only 3 kicks, one of which was a charity, which was a kick out of bounds on the full, and Brian Peak, 7 marks, 9 kicks.
Shane Ellis called on to do the ruck work, beaten by Nalder. Deracourt and Matera wrestled for it, and De Vernon coming in to bounce it down. 99 plays 126 in favour of East Fremantle, and we're at the 11-minute mark of the last quarter. Nalder wins the tap. Fumino paddles to the boundary. Cole couldn't keep it in.
Well, for sheer efficiency, I thought George Christie's put in a good performance today with his 13 kicks and 10 effective hand passes.
Browning pushed Nalder in the back this time. Dean Nalder in the last line of defence for the Bulldogs. Here it is again. No doubt about the kick. David Rowe lost possession. The ball bottled up now by Cooper, by Collard, and all tied up at right half forward here for East Fremantle. This time it's Tunbridge over the top of Nalder. Brilliant palm to Rowe. Rowe gets his kick in towards full forward. Out comes Peake. Taken the mark. The Bomber's invincible today, lifting himself above any other game. When it's a derby on, the Bomber will really excel, or a big game. And he's giving lie to his age today, Brian Cousins.
Yes, he's done very well. Started a bit quiet in the first half of the game, but in the second half I think he's kicked most of his...
Well, that's not so good.
I was going to say most of his 4 goals, but most of his 3 goals in the second half.
Deserved a bit of fate. It was a courageous mark from Brian Peake. Yes, the Bombers kicked 2, Brian.
2 goals, 3, but he's given a couple away.
Nalder and Tunbridge. No mark taken. Rowe using his body. Tunbridge to Ellis. Ellis screws it back towards the square. Up they go. And a good safe mark to Grunt. He's a tall player, and those telescopic arms pulled that one in. Favours the members' wing. David Rowe sets himself. Almost the mark. Collard was held when not in possession. Sped out to Mascos. On to Ditchburn now. Forward of left half back. He centralises the pass. Wilson having trouble finding the handle. Morris Rioli. On to Derek Collard. He's at left half forward. He goes looking for big Craig Edwards. Spoilt by Durack. Still he trundles forward. Wilson's in trouble here. Picked up cleanly by McLean. Across the ground he goes. East Fremantle are away again through Lester Smith at left centre wing. He goes looking for Browning. 50 metres out. Away he goes. He's off. He's got to play on now, Clint. This way, that away, and then boots it towards the square. Fumino is there. Almost a great mark to Christie. Back come the South Fremantle troops. Fumino in the last line. Kicks the ball out very wide. He's played for touch, and I think he's found it. 55 metres out from goal. There's the scoreline. That 28-point cushion at the 14-minute mark may be just a bit too much for the Bulldogs. Some of the steam's gone out of them. Good palm by Norton to Rioli. He hand passed it straight to Edgar. He had a brilliant first quarter. He kicks to the 25-metre line. Peake doing battle with Solon. Mascos to Morris Rioli. Defensive 50-metre line. Favours the outer wing. Matera and Deracourt. Matera paddling forward. Now he's got support from Geary. Runs into Quill. Garrett's picked out a kick to be taken by Peter Matera.
He's been quiet today, Trevor. He would be probably the player that could get South back into this game.
That wasn't a good kick. Durack missed the mark. McDonald shovels it to Edwards, who bundles his way past Ryder, and that's a good mark. He's been paid. Yes, he has, Wilson.
Well, he deserves the highest praise, I think, Paul Wilson today. He started off on John O'Sullivan. He's played on him all the game, and O'Sullivan's been in good touch, and here he is, takes a good mark. Just knocked out of his grasp, but the umpire rightly paid the mark. Umpire Trevor Garrett, and he himself has taken 8 marks. This will be his 9th kick, and he's also made 9 effective hand passes. So 8 marks, 9 kicks and 9 hand passes at centre-half forward, Brian. Not a bad effort.
Great performance. I would have actually said, Ken, prior to those statistics that Jono's
30 metres out, Brian, and he's put it through. That's the goal to South. Whether it's enough to lift them and come back into this game remains to be seen, but there's something there. There's still a faint glimmer for South Fremantle.
Yes, Ken, great performance by Paul Wilson. I was just actually going to go and say prior to those statistics that I would have thought that John O'Sullivan has been the winner on the day, but it's a great example to people, the persistence of Wilson today. He's had a very difficult opponent, and he has never stopped trying to give his side a target at centre-half forward. It's a great performance by him.
2 goals to Paul Wilson today. Memory serves me correctly, Kenny kicked the first goal in the first 15 seconds.
Second kick of the match it was. Willie Rioli had the first, he had the second.
Good chain of hand passes, ends up with Quill. He drives to the 50-metre line, but it's all South. Ditchburn. Well, South have lifted their rating slightly. They need the next goal. Ditchburn kicks to half forward. O'Sullivan sets, but in front Wilson. What a battle. A good old-fashioned duel there today. Wilson goes to centre half forward. Turner spoilt by Edgar, but he was over his back. And Turner with a free kick at centre half forward for South. They're coming back. They're dying hard, South. If they go down, they're going to go down fighting. Durack pushed underneath it. Obvious free kick.
I think the inexperience of Dean Nolder there. Durack in front. He was caught out of position.
Durack kicks into the pocket to Quill.
There seems to be more run in the East Fremantle players, Trevor.
Tunbridge loose, short of centre half back. Once again, little Willie Rioli stands the mark. He kicks it out wide. All players missed it. Derek Collard showed good courage. Cole came over the top. Back with Wilson. Willie Rioli, Brother Morris, a little chip pass. Peter Matera, 30 metres out directly in front. Well, this could be very interesting if he beats this. It'll bring them to within
15 points, I think, Trevor.
16.
And Peter Matera is due to do something. This will be his 8th kick, and he's been well and truly blanketed, mainly by John Deracourt this afternoon.
Matera, the state half forward, makes no mistake. Splits the middle. Would have taken the umpire's hat off, could have been a little lower. That's a good goal to Peter Matera. You can see Lawrence about to come back on for the Sharks.
Yes, it looks
Can
like...
we see them get up over the top from here, Brian?
Well, at this stage of the game, with there's probably at least 15 minutes or just under 15 minutes left to go, certainly enough time as Dean Cole comes off for John Lawrence. I just feel there's still a bit of run left in East, more run in East Fremantle than there is in the South Fremantle side, but their attitude to persist is tremendous, and they're not going to go down without a fight. They're certainly not gone, not by a long way.
As you said, Brian, that every time one side's got an advantage, the other one's come back. South are doing just that now, 16 points the difference. Beautiful palm to Rowe. Tunbridge, while great desperation there by Rioli. Over the top of the shoulder of Brad Collard. He'll take the kick at left centre wing. South have lifted. Passes on. Intercepted by Christie. Here he's got it to Edwards. Morris Rioli attacking side of the square. He's got a runner going down the flank, and Turner's taken the mark. 30 metres out. Slight angle. He can kick it from there. He's a good kick.
Yes, a young boy in his first season of league football. I didn't see the first game of this season, but I understand he played an outstanding game against West Perth in the first game of the year, and started on the interchange bench.
Let's watch Greg Turner shooting for South Fremantle 17th, and he's put it through. It looks as though we've got a nail-biting finish on our hands when that didn't look possible about 7 or 8 minutes ago, Ken.
No, well, South Fremantle have scored goals at the 14-minute mark, the 16-minute mark, and now here at the 17.5-minute mark. So 3 goals in the last 3.5 minutes as Bryce Foreman, the tall wingman, prepares to come on for East Fremantle.
What a game for ABC television. What a weekend of football it's been. 10 points the difference. Edwards. Tunbridge over the top. Beautiful red white rose. Forced a hand pass. Big pack of players. Knocked on by Browning. David Rowe pulls the ball across his body to pull forward. And a great diving mark has been taken down there by Solon. He feeds Mascos. Sends him away. Fimino. South have come to life now. They can smell victory. There's the kick along the wing. Rioli up. No mark taken at the back. Deracourt. He kicks it into the centre. Rowe. This is dangerous. Bradley Collard. On it goes to Geary. Over the top to Wilson. He can go again. McDonald. Derek Collard. Over the top. Luna. Goal! Sensational! Sensational derby! Listen to the crowd! What a great day for West Australian footy.
It's a sensational game. Sensational game of footy enjoyed by a very, very large crowd. And what a great goal to lift aside. There was about 5 or 6 South Fremantle players involved in this passage of play. They all ran hard and then finished off with Dean Nolan in the goal square. I'd say every person at this ground yelling for their side.
And there's still 10 minutes of play remaining.
Thanks, Polly. There's the bounce. 4 points the difference. Tunbridge, great catch. Chance to Rioli to Philly. Ned Fimino. Rioli's down. He's got a whack behind the play. There's the kick to centre half forward. Ryder's there. The ball on the ground. Geary! South Fremantle in front. The Bulldogs are coming home like the Kalgoorlie Express. There's little Willie Rioli. He copped a nasty one.
He's been great all day, Willie Rioli. Wants a quick change. We've got Derek Collard going in now to change with Willie Rioli.
Van Magro, he's still a worried man. There's still a good 8 minutes of play remaining.
2 points the difference. Mascos is off. Sylvester Solani looked like that, didn't he, Magro?
He certainly did. He'd be very, very proud of his players.
East Fremantle, can they come back now? They look home for all money 10 minutes into this quarter. It's now 22 minutes gone. And the umpire to bounce it down just outside the circle. One of the most thrilling games of the year. And the third one for the weekend. Awkward bounce. Rowe overruns it. Morris Rioli at ground level. Peter Matera's there. Tunbridge bundling through. Well done, Big Brad. Gives it to McLean. McLean out wide to half forward. Foreman. He's taken the mark. There is a Foreman here. That lady is absolutely beside herself. This is Bryce Foreman. Into the pocket. Peaky! Takes mark. 40 metres out on the angle. I told you it was nail biting.
9 marks to Brian Peake.
2 points the difference. Peaky can put East Fremantle back in front. The crowd are roaring. Never heard this before. Peake's kick is across the top of the post. One behind. It's 1 point the difference. How's the ticker, Brian?
I'm going all right. I'm just remembering if Noel Carter's watching Noel, they'd probably make it as exciting as the day that you kicked a goal after the siren to win it to South Fremantle.
23.5 minutes have gone. The ball back into play. Edwards! Oh, we tried to clamp it on. Fresh air shot from Pete. He tries again. In the way, though, is Wilson. Loose hand pass. Foreman through the traffic. Weight of numbers will win out. Pip Collard boots it to the outer side of the ground. There's a foot race on now. McLean and Turner. 2 young players. McLean just got his boot to that. It's out of bounds in front of the scoreboard. Left half forward. There's still no emotion, but lots of feeling. 1 point in favour of the Bulldogs. Edwards up, wins the tap. Shark there by Lawrence, who's on the ground. Back comes Firmino, hugs the boundary with a kick. Wilson overruns it. Chance now for the Sharks. This is Cooper. Into the middle of the ground he goes. And the mark has been taken by Rowe. David Rowe. Well, not a good kick. Over to lands fortuitously with Quill. Crowd have been roaring for 10 minutes without stopping.
Peacocking shortly.
Passes on. Peaky couldn't take the mark. Scrambles the ball out though. Grant at ground level. They dive in on top of it. And it'll be bounced 50 metres out.
Graham Milrose has called for the cigarette.
He doesn't smoke.
No.
Tunbridge trying to get it to Bradley Road. This is Peter Matera. Puts it out in front of Rioli. Can he pick it up? He tried to paddle it. Good interception by Cooper. Christie overruns it. He got a push. It's tight near the boundary. Willie Rioli didn't like the treatment there. But he's copped a bit today.
And about to approach time on. Almost 25 minutes gone in the final quarter. South Fremantle by 1 point.
Edwards wins the tap. Bradley Collard and Brad Rowe. Almost.
Brian, I think a draw would be a good result.
It would be. Edwards. Christie steals it. Good smother from Edwards. Matera feeds Rioli. Away he goes to half forward. Wilson. Inboard to Collard. Derrick on to Peter Matera. He's at left half forward. He goes to 50 metres. There's the kick. Lance Durack going back with a flight. He's taken the mark. He's got runners here. Quill and Thorne. Thorne's marked in front of Derrick Collard in the back pocket. We're into time on by almost a minute. The kick to half back. Brad Collard and Rowe. Willie Rioli at the back. Morris is sitting underneath it. He wraps up the mark. Could have been 50 metres. Would have been a brave decision though.
And will Morris Rioli use his wrong foot, his right foot? He's used his right foot for the greater part of the match. He does.
It's an up-country punt. It lands with Matera. He couldn't break Quill's tackle, but he gets it to Edwards. He had to shunt the turn. He's in trouble. Lawrence a chance. Yes, he's been holding the ball. Tried to do a bit too much to the big fellow. He's played a great game. He's got a heart like Farnap. Oh, Neil Lester-Smith, a good mark over the top of Brad Collard. Hurry up, she says. There's the kick to centre half forward. Peak underneath it. Nice bit of staging by the Bomber. Foreman couldn't get a hand pass in. Brad Collard's there. Garrett comes in to bounce down. Even the players from their own side are worried.
Just about 27 minutes gone.
Brad Collard went for the ruck knock. A chance here for Worsfold. He breaks away with good dash. He's at left centre wing. He got away from Bradley Rowe. That's good pace. Durack though again. Tower of strength. Marking opposed to Nulda.
They'll have to make something of this next attack, I think, Trevor.
1 point in favour of the Bulldogs. This could be the last blast of the blaster bugler for the Sharks. O'Sullivan pinched though by Rowe. He's a good player.
Yes, fine young player.
Kick to the middle of the ground for Dericourt. Oh, he missed what he should have taken. Collard's got it now. Over the top to Rioli. The attacking side of the square. He's put it out in front of Willie Rioli. Here comes Wilson. Good tackle, Thorne. Back comes Willie. Oh, lightning hands. This is Derrick Collard. He can seal it. He has. He has. South Fremantle should win the derby. Derrick Collard has kicked a great goal.
And probably very appropriate that both the Riolis were involved in that play. They've been two players that have helped get South Fremantle back whenever they've needed it. And a tremendous hand pass out by Willie Rioli and Derrick Collard.
South have kicked the last 6 goals. If that goes through for a winning goal, I'd say, Brian.
Magro now showing some emotion. Good knock on by Ellis, though, to half forward. Well read by Ditchburn. Oh, the hand pass smothered. Back he comes, Ditchburn. He's showing plenty of courage in there. Number 11 for South. Fimino trying to work it out. He's holding the ball. So it's Lawrence with the kick. He's at centre half forward for East Fremantle. Lawrence, left foot drop punts on its way. That's a good kick. That's a goal. It's not over yet. John Lawrence has kicked a 50-metre drop punt goal. Maybe even more than that, Brian. Let's have a look at that score. It's back to 1 point the difference, but still South Fremantle in front by one solitary point.
Sensational game of football, Trevor. There must only be a minute or two remaining.
30 minutes gone.
And not a player out there that hasn't contributed to this great game.
Unbelievable game of football.
Anybody's game. Trevor Garrett coming into what will be the final bounce in the centre, I'd say.
The main danger for the Sharks is time. There's the bounce. Edwards, brilliant. Chance here for the Sharks. McLean lost it. The Durack. He feeds Christie. Smothered. Ellis. Out wide, McLean. Away he goes. He's got pace, the young man. He runs to the attacking side of the square. It's off the side of the boot. Ditchburn. Unlucky. Ditchburn in front, taking the mark. Kicks to the members' wing. Edwards carries him at the back. It's Durack. Rioli closing. Nicely done, Morris. A little bit of experience there, Brian.
Certainly was.
31 and a half minutes gone.
He's worked very hard, Morris Rioli. Obviously carried a leg injury in the second half.
There's the throw in. Durack wins the tap. Brad Collard, well tackled. Shrugs it though. That was nicely done. He lost his footing at the crucial stage. That was deliberate. There's no doubt about that. Free kick has been picked out. That was silly play. 50 metres. That is undisciplined play from Derek Collard. That's silly football.
It's going to take a huge kick from there to kick a goal.
But it's going to land in the square, Brian.
It's 1 point the difference. It's Durack, the kick from 55 metres.
Morris Rioli on the mark. The leading kick getter on the field with 21.
Durack can make a hero of himself. It's a good kick. It's away to the right. It won't reach. Oh! Browning! Browning's marked. You'll be at an impossible angle.
Oh, I think it's kickable.
Oh, it's kickable all right, but he's got to come around more than that. He's tried to crib a bit. There's the angle now. It's about 80 degrees. Magro is not happy at all. He'd be very unhappy with Derek Collard. Browning will be the mayor of East Fremantle. There's the kick. Goal! It's a goal! East Fremantle have hit the front by 5 points, and we've played 8 minutes of time on.
What a tremendous finish to this game, Trevor.
The umpiring is unbelievable. I read his lips.
We thought a few minutes ago there was only a minute or two to remain. There may be enough time for South Fremantle to get a quick goal, irrespective of whichever side wins this. It's been a magnificent game of football. Both coaches probably be very proud of their players.
The game seems to be going on forever.
Well, there's been 11 goals scored in this last quarter already.
Okay, the time clock. Maybe a little fast, we believe. It's on again in the middle of the ground. Its ball is bottled up. Play on now. Chance for Brad Collard through the congestion. Willie Rioli. Oh, nicely done by Cooper. In comes... There it is! The siren has sounded. East Fremantle have won by 5 points in one of the greatest games of West Australian football we've seen for many a long day.
Without doubt, Trevor, the best game of football I've seen for 2 or 3 years, finals included. And it's quite a pity when you look out at the dejection of the South Fremantle players when they've contributed to such a great game of football. Let's not take it away from East Fremantle. They were gone. There were 6 goals in a row kicked by South Fremantle to get themselves, I think, over a goal in front. East Fremantle had to score twice. John Lawrence came off the interchange bench and kicked a magnificent goal from just outside the 50-metre mark, and then Clinton Browning, who'd been an excellent player all day, kicked the winning goal. but an absolutely sensational game of football, and what a great crowd here to witness it.
Comments from Brian Cousins, the leading goal scorers of the day, the jubilation, the thrill, the excitement of win. What a win. They were home, they were gone, they came back, and undisciplined play from Derek Pollard let them in, and that goal resulting from Clint Browning. South Fremantle defeated by 5 points. East Fremantle 21-14, South Fremantle 20-15. Leading goal scorer for the Sharks was Lester Smith with 6, and for South Fremantle, Geary kicked 5. Ken Casellas, your top half dozen kick getters for the day.
Yes, for East Fremantle, Browning had 7 marks and 14 kicks. Lester Smith 9 marks and 13. He had 17 kicks. Then we had young Craig McLean had 14 kicks for East Fremantle. John O'Sullivan at centre half back, 7 marks and 17 kicks. For South, 6 marks, 21 kicks and 11 hand passes. Willie Rioli, his younger brother, he had 17 kicks. Craig Edwards had 10, but he also made 9 effective hand passes and many effective ruck knockouts. And Wilson at centre half forward, 9 marks, 10 kicks and 12 effective hand passes.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Our statistician again today, Ken Casellas. Brian, your best players for the match?
Yes, just quickly running through them. For South Fremantle, Morris Rioli, I thought a tremendous game in the middle, and Willie Rioli, both the Rioli brothers played extremely well. Paul Wilson at centre half forward. It's very difficult when you give best players to both O'Sullivan of East Fremantle and Paul Wilson when they played on each other. But their performance, they both persisted, and it was a great duel. Probably the highlight of the game, the Wilson-O'Sullivan duel. Craig Edwards in the ruck battled manfully against Durack and Tunbridge, and Brad Collard, I thought, was tremendous with his hard work. Quickly for East Fremantle, George Christie, Clinton Browning, Bradley Rowe, as I said, John O'Sullivan, and Neil Lester Smith for his 6 goals.
Thanks a lot, Brian Cousins. We hope you've enjoyed our telecast here from East Fremantle Oval. There's the scoreline, a 5-point win into a great game of West Australian football here between 2 outstanding sides who look as though they're going to figure very prominently in the final round this year. It's been a great weekend of football. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage both on Saturday and today, and we look forward to your company again next week. Trevor Jenkins for ABC TV Sport.